Welcome to the first room we have here for this semester of the NECC. We've got Converse Purple facing off against the Scarlet Knights here in our Legends Yellow division for Valorant in the NECC. My name is Infernosis, and we are super excited to get this season started and underway.
You know, it's no better time than your academics are being tested, both in the classroom as well as how well you've been studying up on the new meta, which it really needs to be defined here in Infernosis as we get into week 1 action for Valorant. A lot of new maps, a lot of new players, and a lot of new stratagems that are still trying to be all sussed out here in the early part of the semester.
Yeah, we so highlight effectively here in the NECC how important older rosters are, the age, how long they've been at their university, and how much that's going to affect these teams. We're in the Legends division. You kind of expecting these players to be on the up and up, following into the meta, watching and listening to what's going on in the current scene of the pro scene, and then trickling those strategies down ever closer. But the issue still lies. It's just collegiate. How long have they had with these players? How long have they been in classes? Are they distracted by their test work? We'll have to see. And this should be a great showcase to show in the first week of the NECC how truly prepared they are.
Honestly, if they're just going to the classroom in the first place, they're doing better than I did whenever I was a freshman. Because you know what? Video games are pretty cool. And luckily, these student athletes, which student comes first in, are doing the right thing, making sure to go and get done with all of their academics before they head over and start clicking some heads, which is what is going to be a big deal between both these squads. You want to be able to start off big, especially in week number 1. Converse trying to do the exact same thing. But I've seen the Scarlet Knights in action, went over to Rutgers maybe the end of last year. And that's a heck of a program, an amazing facility as well. So a lot of that backup and that support comes from the ground up, and it comes from the university to be able to really keep these kids in line, as well as be able to help them out in these big, esports dreams.
You gotta have the university behind you, but you also have to have a program to play within and a league as well to do so, and that's where the NECC fills in those shoes. And if you want even more NECC action, there are multiple places at which you can find it, one of which is our YouTube channel that everyone go and check out. I think we have something that'll play for you guys to give you guys a little bit more information about that. We also have our I have another clip about that that'll show it. Make sure to please check out our YouTube. A lot of VOD clips. I can actually see myself in the top right casting with, I believe that's Overwatch at the time. That is an old thing. Yeah, that's me in the top right. I see Foof there in the middle as well. You can see all the old videos and clips. There's some I even go back when I redo reels and things like that from nearly 2 years ago for the NECC. So there is still plenty of content ranging after semester, more and more, where you can VOD with you, learn more about what's going on, and see even older metas that you may be able to bring back out of the woodworks and say, okay, maybe this will work again if we just change out 1 or 2 of the agents and really throw a shocker of a round into play.
Honestly, that's what it's kind of felt like going into this next patch. It's really been, hey, do I find a comfort zone? Do I go back to Reyna? Do I stomp onto a Phoenix? What do I really want to see that I can, start trying to be able to get all this balanced out? Because Jet obviously was one of the most and hardest hit duelists of everyone. So everyone's like, I don't want to deal with them. But the few people that do actually stick onto an agent like that have been just leagues above, head and step, being able to go in the right direction. But it's about execution. Much of this game, I mean, we talk about ultimates. We talk about how expensive they are now, especially on a big AoE scale. It's now more of a precision game. I say that, but I just got to see a lot of game changers, contenders qualifier, and there was Odins everywhere. So maybe it's just less about that and more about what you want to do as a squad to really just kind of disrupt the flow.
Typically, in the NECC, we kind of expect in the lower divisions to see teams kind of bring out what they truly want. One of the biggest changes you see, we have a local college here in Alabama that their main roster that would be sitting squarely in the Legends division plays the really meta strategies, and their lower roster, or their second and B roster, plays whatever the heck they want. And it honestly still gets close on certain maps, but there are others where the tried and true tend to just work best. You try to stick with that. But like I said, certain maps that can and cannot work. The meta tends to be a bit stringent on certain ones. We'll have to see what maps we're heading to here first and foremost. With Bind and Ascent being banned, shockingly enough, that leaves Haven and Breeze to be picked up for map 1 and 2. Sunset removed. It took a little bit for that one to get out, shockingly enough. Split following in for that last ban, leaving Lotus on the chopping block. So somewhat newer map and a full rework map of Breeze. It's going to be a very entertaining selection we have here today.
Yeah, Haven has been very comfort pick in the collegiate scene for a while. You basically have the collegiate classic of the first three right there, but the first two are banned, so get out of Ascent and Bind mentalities. Breeze, a complete rework. They're able to squeeze everything out into that mid castle and then being able to make a bit of the dynamicness of pyramids, a bit taller, a bit wider, and also you don't have that same route that you want to be able to take into Iron Tunnel. So gonna be interesting because those are our two guaranteed maps. Lotus, though, I've become, I love the look of it. I think there's no one really that hates the look of Lotus, especially a lot of observers that have gotten very used to how that thematically is just chef's kiss. But I don't know if we're gonna be able to get there. 3 site maps are a curious factor, and we got 2 of them in play. Which one's your favorite here in Infernosis? Do you just prefer Haven as an old fuddy-duddy, or are you like the new Lotus?
The Lotus is fine, but every time I've seen Lotus, it turns into a one-sided slaughter on either half. Some teams really like the attack, some turn that to the defense. We had a game just this past weekend, or week on Thursday, with me and Mick, who unfortunately could be here today, where we thought Lotus was going to go to a huge OT. We were so expected to see these two tech teams face off, and it ended 13-1, right? It's just a map that I haven't had a lot of experience being able to cast as much as I would like in high contest games, despite the teams being evenly matched on their, stats and schedule up to that point. It's sad to see, and it's just, I feel like Lotus is one of those maps that you pick it when you think you can shock somebody, the fun a few moments. You've been really working that map. You've been working really hard on it. I would expect this to end into Haven. Everyone knows. I just expect a better game on that. So that's my favorite 3 objective map, I should say.
I mean, it's basically one of the more practice. You were talking about being able to continue staying into kind of a meta concept. I mean, Breach really has been loud and proud. Same thing with the likes of Omen. I've seen some flexing in Astra. That's both been uncomfortable as well as kind of novel, depending on what you want to go with it. Killjoy still exists as a long-term fuddy-duddy sentinel. Sometimes if you want to prove that Cypher can live, then you will get some of that cam work coming here as well. But then it comes really down to where your duels and your initiator kind of really flex about. I've seen some great work of the no fun police off of a KO, and then opposite of that, you get jets that are able to have some great sniping lanes. The key difference at times is maybe getting a duelist that wants to go over to a sentinel like Chamber, and they want to be able to take more of that extra sniping pattern. But that's really the hungriest that I've seen out of big agents like that. And we'll be coming up to our agent picks as well here in just a little bit as we do get the Scarlet Knights and Converse coming up. Is there anything that you've seen really become, I guess, apparent now that we've moved kind of at least a month deep into patch time that Haven really has evolved to? Because for me, I stick to Omen. He's my guy. This is his playground. Has anything really for your playtime kind of changed up?
I can't expect much, right? Astra has had a little bit more playtime, but Omen still falls into that very comfortably for that controller role. KJ is not going to be moved from her position. She's just too darn strong. She just cannot be taken away from it. While Chamber has been a lot more common on maps like Bind and maps like even Ascent, just doesn't really fulfill that role you necessarily need on Haven. It used to be the case. You hold down C long all by your lonesome. It's the only play you need there, but most teams don't even push C long anymore. They go in through Garage and just don't have that same level of effect that a KJ would have with the huge dump of utility that's there. So for a map like Haven, it's just the standard. It's one of those maps I think the meta just can't really shift up in the way that a lot of teams would necessarily feel comfortable to do so. But enough guessing about what our agent selection is going to look like. We can see, in fact, what it is and also the wrong map behind it. Scarlet Knights have picked up the Cypher. They go with Silva as well. Jet, Omen, that Breach we highlighted previously. And then for the side of Converse Purple, it's pretty much a mirror matchup here. No KJ for either side, which is shocking for a map like Haven. Cypher is very good, but KJ tends to win out when it comes to most teams. The biggest difference in these two teams, and the only difference in their agent selection, comes down to their duelist, the Jet versus the Race, and it seems like Converse really like the idea of the boost back.
Yeah, I want to see how they're going to run behind that and get a swiftness around them. And you were saying they were not that no one can unseat Killjoy. Well, apparently they left their chair at home. Yeah. So they just tossed it in the old truck, decided this is not today. And we have a couple of ciphers. And I wonder if really how that's going to play up, especially for post-plant. I love being able to set a lot of tripwires as well to be able to really cover that anti-alert, especially if you go onto a hard A, which it looks like we're at least leaning into the idea, but it depends on what kind of picks will be coming out, especially from this long points to that that site. But like you're talking about, we got basically just a Raze versus Jet. Jet is going to hopefully bring enough knives to be able to put them into the skulls of their opponents, and Raze is just going to be making a loud play about it. We go to round number 1, and let's see how maybe these first few seconds pan out.
See a lot of teams really hesitant to use the Raze recently because it hasn't felt like the showstopper's been making enough impact, but you can find the space to do so. You can go big like we're seeing right now for the Converse purple side. Puffin and Icy get a kill apiece, a second to join in for Icy's hands as the paint shells go out and take down yet another blitz in the flank in through Hay, able to take down their doppelganger of Cartier, and it leaves just Beast 2 Hive all by their lonesome in a 1v5, and you kind of have to expect the result from this point onwards. Try to scrape away a kill, get a little bit of extra credits to your pocket, but the likely choice is you're going to lose out this round. They get at least good for 1. They'll have to rotate in through mid. If they get spiked down, honestly, a successful round despite the early result.
They're going to have to pop that tripwire before they even get a look at it, though. And you saw everyone retreat to make sure they maintain life. And then that one is basically the cue for everyone to start squeezing in on them. Beast 2 Hype is going to get surrounded on all flanks, on all edges. And I do have that cam to look at him. The fault line threatening the stun forces Beast to have to step up, and Arctic will get the cleanup kill. And like you said, it was basically inevitable, but that was good first pressure out of Icy just to take those challenges out and from Sewer.
Especially with the assistance they had down below. You have to make sure you have someone in long. You have to make sure you're down Sewer, like you mentioned. You have to have a multifaceted defense if you're going to play that first round really aggressively. You got to punish the Scarlet Knights trying to move in towards A lobby, in through A main, and make it so that if they have to make that decision, they're going to have to fall back first and foremost, where if you've set up correctly, which the Converse purple side definitely did, you have someone in Hay, if not 2 like they had in that last round, to watch that cutoff angle and deny the retreat and catch them off guard. A very successful round 1, and they have to hope for a just as successful round 2, where they now come in with a little bit of a bonus they had after that win, getting those SMGs and Marshalls in the hands of Icy and hold on to them so they don't lose those out going into round 3.
Icy basically has an operator in their hands in the sake of that Marshall being so quick shot, and if they are landing theirs just like they have been at the beginning of the previous round, being able to just kind of lay everyone to waste. And I like that they're prioritizing being able to get some of these ult orbs as well, because they're going to be playing for a lot of the rolling thunders, trying to open up sight for free. That's what those breaches are really kind of made for. Icy already in this position, and they've sighted out a couple. They're not going to give up their life. They're going to play for this exit angle and try to retreat back into A, but you don't have very many options if you're the Scarlet Knights right here, just because you can be able to tip, you can tap, and you can look for extra openings, but a Thrifty is really hard to come by in these early first rounds.
You can see Icy was very willing to go for that fight despite the jiggle peaks that were coming forth from the Scarlet Knights. They had a lot of faith in their ability to connect, and while they failed at the long shot, they'll connect quite easily to the player trying to pick up the ult orb down and long. A slow prey in, up from short. It's a great attempt from the Scarlet Knights to close down the distance, but they just don't have that same mobility that the Raze was showing, that Icy was showing for the Converse purple side. They can't get in smoothly. Jet doesn't have that tailwind. They don't have that mobility to close the distance, and it's just going to make it an even easier job for the SMGs to cut you down to that slight mid-range. Shock Dart in for the second to last kill, and a Spectre to close things and secure. Converse purple will find just as much success as they did in round 1, and perfectly so, as Icy, the only player to fall, had arguably the best weapon to have it do so.
Trying to be able to find even more of that value from that kind of round, because this is the typical 2-0. You're looking at the end of a bad buy because you just don't have the credits to be able to start off the entire kit of it. But otherwise, this is still Scarlet Knights. They need to be able to run with now this buy, their first AR, and already they're trying to be able to find an extension out from this A turn. See if they can be able to look for any of these initial picks. They've not been able to find many bodies hit the floor for themselves, and they're trying to play it patient, but while doing so, they're also taking at least a little bit of floor space. I wonder if they're gonna be able to see Blitz up here on top of this double stack.
So hold on as best as they can. The play in though from long makes it impossible. Arctic tried to play in with the owl drone and unfortunately sticks to it a bit too long and costs their teammates life. Has to retreat as fast as possible in through the dark cover, but Hall is no safe space. Almost will spray straight through, take down their doppelganger, and now lead into a very solid 5 versus 3 on the A site in a post-plant position. Front up from inside mid window, just barely stepping out, goes for the isolated 1v1, but a flanking player nonetheless. A Buzz is still there for the refrag back. Shots him down in Sewer. It's Cartier with a nice take off of the head for Buzz, and it's Puffin hoping to find any success on site, but the Scarlet Knights look steadfast in round 3 and will take it quite easily with those rifles they're bringing forward.
That was a nice swing over just outside of sewer, being able to get them just before they wanted to head out from that A turn. But hey, you know what? That's your typical 2-1. Now we go to our rifle round. We already have a showstopper online for Icy, and that could be a very impactful ultimate to bring to this, especially if they want to be able to force themselves to not be in the dumpster, because since what that was that bonus looking into that next buy, now they're in a position where if they were to lose this out, then we go into a 2-2 and we find themselves into an eco. So Scarlet Knights want to be able to run with this kind of pressure. They were able to keep all but one up onto the table, and they're looking at the perimeter for some of these big picks. They have not tested C as of yet. A lot of this A pressure, looking to make sure they down check into garage, and most of that mid space is not stolen by the likes of Converse.
I mentioned before, typically don't see a very heavy push in from attacking teams down C long. Chamber in the old days was great at denying that sort of pressure, but since that pressure has been all but ignored by most teams on the attack for Haven, you don't necessarily need that role. You can step in with a Cypher with Tripwire, you can set up with a turret inside of garages, hope for the best through window. It seems to be the best case scenario right now for the Scarlet Knights, attempting to swing in from door. Only one player looking to lock it down. Place a dark cover and swing as quick as you can, though a shock dart did a bit of damage. A rifle will do much more and beyond, as a first blood is picked up for the Scarlet Knights. And a post plant now enforced into the laps of Converse Purple, who have to make a full rotate away from that A and B side here, Monkey Man, and try to retake a very difficult objective as they play from long.
And they're protecting their Sova because of the Hunter's Fury. Depends on how much they're going to put into this next forthcoming push. They do get rid of one, so Arctic is going to hit the floor, no extra pressure. And now they have the Showstopper. May aim it down long into Cubby, and yes, they're at least going to throw some more of that. You have the Aftershock being used up, but they are in a safe haven all the way down to his namesake, and now they expend the ultimate. A lot of the spray, they're going to be just bodying the rest. Icy will hit the floor, and Puffin soon to follow. So it becomes a 2-2. And on the other side of this, I think Converse is probably going to be playing it a bit more passive and try to keep some extra credits in the pocket.
I mean, they're working into this next round in around 5 with literally nothing in their hands. Play with some utility, some sheriffs if you really feel like you can afford it. Looks like Icy was maybe teasing the idea of getting a sheriff. They want to even out the eco as best as they can. I don't think anyone on this team is necessarily going to be relying on an operator play in these next few rounds. So even out the eco, make sure everyone's on the same page when it comes to the decisions they're making. Sheriffs be the go-to option for that. If you have a little bit of extra credits on the top, armor to join in, 2 full armors and 1 soft. They'll try their best to push forward and get in the face of the Scarlet Knights, who are playing, like you said, Converse may have done, very passive when it comes to the approach of players coming in from that garage and from Hay in the first place. Otherwise, it is a full rush to this C site for the remaining 4. They lose 1 in the onslaught of sheriff shots that were coming out from the defense, but past that, they get spiked down fairly easily and now can play the advantage of these rifles at range.
These potential thrifties are sometimes very lethal to have to jump into. Puffin is able to get a trade, but same thing with Prof as they will drop them down. It becomes a 2v3. Scarlet Knights on the back end of a bad situation, but quickly turn it around, realizing, hey, we have full auto rifles. We got the better guns. Why can't we be able to hit these shots? And they do so in earnest. So they take the power play, they run with it, and now flexing Icy onto the operator, at least looking at it for now. That's a nifty option.
The buying of the armor in the previous round was just enough to make sure Icy didn't have enough credits for full armor in this one. I'd be very concerned as well for the total utility that Icy would be bringing into this round in the first place. But having everyone else with full rifles and armor across the board, this is probably the best chance we'll see from Converse Purple to put up a fight against the very much so present threat of the Scarlet Knights, continuing the spree of rounds they found for themselves. A slow peek from down below. Icy will take down the Omen of Cartier off the board, a very dangerous player to lose, an agent in specific, as the Scarlet Knights will have little to no points of coverage as they attempt to swing out onto the A objective. It may be best for them to try it through B instead and just try to clear things out using your Cypher for tripwires to stop a flank. But they're a little bit too preoccupied still with the option of this A side, as they are slow peeking every angle that is possible, and they've noted one up in heaven, and they'll fall back because of that information.
I do like what Beast 2 Hype has been doing with their Tailwind. That one is a much less amount of seconds. I think about 4 or 5 seconds less than what it used to be for its activation state, but they've been keeping it for the nice escape. Blitz is able to get rid of Fruta as they were testing the waters one more time, but no longer they're outside of garage. So this becomes more of an A commit, and so they're going to slowly surround. The spike is just up and long, and they're going to throw a shock dart as well just to keep Puffin honest, and maybe just in case he got tagged before, add some extra salsa to the chip damage there. But the plant will be confirmed, and now it's up to how they are going to hold on to this site. Are they going to have enough time to let him escape and get a rolling thunder? They do get a good shot. Now Prof is looking for more.
It's 2 already. Still too many to overcome. Converse Purple have no problems past that point. They'll acquiesce the two Bloods. They don't mind nonetheless. The defuse will come through and they'll be able to tie things up successfully in a 3-3 scoreline. Though the danger was still present as Prof was such a dangerous force to deal with. They almost had a lineup there for that second kill they gained onto Puffin, or sorry, onto Blitz at the time. They were very concerned for it. Great idea from the Scarlet Knights, knowing that they had the lack of that omen, not having the dark cover to haul, not having it to cut down the sightline from heaven. Send the shock turrets, keep them honest like you mentioned, and just keep them away from the sightline that denies the spike carrier from making it into the plant position in the first place. But the danger was lost in heaven. It's only gained and even more powerful in haul, as there was nothing to cover that sightline, and full 4 players came out from the defense to retake that site in full force.
Look at this 3 stack that we're seeing on A. It looks like they're going to be trying to push a lot of pressure and really cover down on Icy. They put the tripwires out as well, just to make sure that they're at least got some extra util between them. Rocking a hard place, though, as they are at least be testing B. B sometimes has been a higher rate of pistol hit, but they will commit to not allowing anyone on top of the mid stack. And this is going to be a rolling thunder. Full clear sight. They're going to try and jump away, but you do also have the paranoia that accidentally tags a teammate, but they're going to commit into this one as well, as dark covers go down, and so does a spike, and as well as Icy.
Interesting steal coming out here for the Scarlet Knights. A very dangerous one nonetheless, but it pans out for their roster. Well, they did have Frodo working initially over towards that A lobby side. They lose the player there, and they know that they're more likely not still going to be remaining to try to get that refrag as best as they possibly can. A peek of information goes in favor for Scarlet Knights. They'll fall back closer to window. They'll go for the refrag, a double swing to make sure they get the kill no matter what. The life count does not necessarily matter here, but it may start to get a little bit strenuous. Blitz, good for 1, hunting the second, but it's a double tandem hold, and Prof is holding it from mid-window. A glorious recovery for the Scarlet Knights, but a dangerous one nonetheless, leaving just 1 player standing.
Oh, and again, we catch Converse kind of in the cycle of suck for their buys. So they're going to be looking at Sheriff's Light Shields, but maybe they could build on to something if they really want to commit behind any of these ultimates. They got a Rolling Thunder as well as Neural Theft, but really, when you look at Neural Theft as well as the Dark From the Shadows, those are kind of your open intel, what you can be able to find in the moment, and I don't think they'll be pushing much into it. Otherwise, Scarlet Knights, good cover down by Prof. They weren't able to be the hero in the previous round, but as they do so from distance, that was a very scary place, just like you were talking about. And early on, Icy, they're trying to prioritize again, getting them some extra picks. They play into that 3-man commit, actually 4 stacked all the way into C. They will have a showstopper, and now that could really be the turning point if they want to turn this into a thrifty.
Yeah, especially now with you're very concerned about the possibility of your flank watch. Thankfully, it wasn't your Cypher that laid the tripwire previously, so you know they're not pressuring in from C long. They're not stepping back towards attacker spawn. The only unknown would be through Hay, and you've got a secondary trapwire to watch for that as well. Scarlet Knights know their flank is covered, and it's just a matter of time to get down that spike, and it goes through successfully. 2 up in heaven, 2 seemingly going to work in through Hall. Now the third to join in after the fact. 4 ultimates on the board. Plenty of space to work with. The From the Shadows retreating over to the A long side to try to get a tertiary angle to work from a side angle. Showstopper to go through, tries to clear hell, but they'll die to the fall damage instead. And somehow, some way, the Converse purple side is just 1 kill away from an even 1-on-1, and the Cypher the side of Scarlet Knights is just a single bit of HP away from it. That's where Prof steps up to the plate and sings a home run out into the field. Another round 1 for the Scarlet Knights to climb up to 5.
Undefeated is a flashpoint in the hands or the robotic arms of a good breach. You stand behind a box, you put it through, and the sun is suddenly in your eyes and you forgot your sunshades. So job well done by Prof, continuing to clutch up in moments when they need them to most. Even if it was on the better end of a better buy, you need to make sure that you do finish the paper, put your name on it, give it to the professor, and get your grade. But opposite of this, we go back to another gun round here in Infernosis, and we're looking at the necessity for Converse Purple to not let this one get out of hand. You still have the full kit set up, and now it's going to be Beast, who continues to be the first one to be testing this tip of the spear, and they really run behind him, but they could be finding Blitz just on this opposite side angle. They're stuck in that little cubby, but they've been tagged up and they have to teleport away.
Shrouded step perfectly timed to get away from that one. The Owl Drone was already a prevalent concern. They knew the jet was inside cubby, but it's Icy. What a dangerous swing with the boost pack to get into the open and take down the Cypher working in from Hay. You've essentially damaged the entire point of the Scarlet Knights flank watch, and they'll have to actually pursue the route in through mid, in through courtyard in the first place, to just make sure that the presence that came from garage is no longer there. But it's not that player you're worried about. Icy is retreated to C. It's Arctic hiding over towards Rabbit, and they pounce onto one, but a second one refragged in return. It is still a player advantage though after that first pick, and no avenging coming back through. Converse Purple can hold on to sight well, unless Puffin overextends and Prof goes for the punishing strike. Just a couple of Vandal shots needed to get the job done, and that looks like a site doomed to be taken by the Scarlet Knights, and Icy is nowhere near. They're gonna have a full rotate needing to be made from C.
They could actually use this Rolling Thunder for the big retake, and it looks like they're planning to do so here from Heaven. That was great coverage, and Prof has proven to be everyone's big brother, watching over them from beyond, making sure that their key duelist does not drop. This is going to be a very loud Swedish man, though. They're going to try and bulldoze their way through. Look at a Blast Pack to get away from some of that extra stun off the fault line, and that's 3 kills immediately, and that lays them all to waste. What a tactile and just well-executed retake there, Infernosis, able to get the job done so efficiently.
Buzz accidentally tagging Blitz at the same time. Hey, you gotta know that it's coming out. You can't step into the open just yet, Blitz. Doesn't seem to matter. Buzz gets it almost all by their lonesome. The last kill coming out from Icy through the dark cover as the player was trying to rotate back through sewers, just trying to find something out from short. Does not work out, and it is a recoverable round for Converse Purple to hopefully, if they win out this round, finally throw the eco for the Scarlet Knights out the window, because it has not seemingly been a single thrifty round on the board for them. They have been thriving with the rifles every single round and looking comfortable because of the sprees they've collected. 3 between rounds 3 through 5 and 2 connecting in through 7 and 8. They are having no problem keeping the eco in their back pocket and manageable, and the Converse Purple side has already had 2 thrifties they've had to deal with.
Puffin playing with a classic. Name me a better dynamic duo than a Cypher and not having a gun, but they're going to be playing very close quarters as they're going to make sure to be just nearby. Dark cover does go down, so that will fend off and repel Scarlet Knights for the time being, but they're checking this down in a default, and for the first time in a while, we're actually seeing C Long be tested and be proven, as Buzz will be dropped early, and they're going to escape backwards. That could be all of a decoy pick to force this rotation over as they decide where they want to take this spike. They've favored a lot of A here in Infernosis, but now they've got options.
I feel like the first time we've seen C-Long be pressured in something that wasn't a pistol round, wasn't a full thrifty by the attacking side for Scarlet Knights, where they just said, okay, we know that Converse are thriftying, we can just push forward after we get that initial bit of intel. It works out. 2 kills now in a row for them. They initially got their 1 on C. They're gonna go right back to it. If it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. We'll send out a recon bolt over the top. Not placed in default, but placed in a good spot that gets the majority of the back of sight, but not behind the Radiant Knight stack. It's Arctic for 3, hunting for more. Almost has the chance for 4th, but Beast too hype takes down their teammate of Puffin, and the damage gets worse as Arctic is felled. Just Blitz in a 1v2 makes it manageable by dealing with the lonesome player right next to Beast 2 hype. But they've got to play this site correctly. Spike is in hand, but they're very aware of the possible concern of a play in through Hall. The spike goes down nonetheless. Paranoia sent out. Blitz does not follow behind it, apparently not trusting the fact it may have tagged down the lonesome Jet. They'll swing perfectly. They mistake the first blow, but the second swing gets the kill first. And Converse Purple will somehow get through this round and tie things up 5-5.
Arctic was the big champion, the MVP of this moment to make that possible in the first place. You had the recon dart that went all the way to backside. They saw the scanner notification warning on their screen, able to creep up a few extra inches just to the left side of mid box, and that was the undoing of the Scarlet Knights push there, able to just be a rat in the hole waiting for their time to shine. And that third kill was a spray through the cyber cage, so just being able to put damage down range where it needs to be able to produce, and huge moment to be able to tie this one up at 5 apiece. And now you see this in a weird position because they're going to be buying up for the Scarlet Knights, and they will have the Blaze Storm over for Beast 2 hype, but if they don't really get this round, there's not going to be a lot of eco for them for the final round of the first half.
That's the one thing the Scarlet Knights have over the top of Converse Purple with their duelist selection. If they have a thrifty and something where maybe money is not the best thing out there in the world, like this round here for them, they at least can save credits by not having the Jet be able to buy a rifle. The Blade Storm will carry the work where needed, and while it was nerfed, requires more ultimate pips, you don't have to worry about the Thrifty that often if your team just gets the majority of the round wins early like they have been doing. Speaking of that Blade Storm, that was good for 3. Quick flick to Buzz and Arctic right after the fact, hunting for one more. But seemingly Blitz will survive the onslaught of blades coming their way. And it is a 2 versus 5, a near insurmountable odds to overcome. But Converse Purple, I feel like they're just going to play this one for an exit frag and hope that your Cypher back inside a mid window can sneak away a kill here onto Almost. May get caught off guard, and that is in fact the case, scraping away 1 kill and maybe hoping for a few more by the end of this round.
Yeah, that feels like a win right there after taking a big loss. That was a massive play off of Beast Too High. But why am I ever to doubt the Scarlet Knights? They may not have a whole lot of cash in their immediate wallet, but they've been putting in investments for later in those earlier rounds. And now they're just scrambling around, seeing what they can get more for this Blade Storm, bringing a knife to a gunfight, a fine cuisine, and it tastes so sweet into a 6th round win. At worst, Scarlet Knights setting themselves up for a dead even next half. At best, they could have a 7-5 just in the other side of it, but it's also going to be Converse Purple. They feel like maybe they just kind of let a trade of ultimates happen a bit too quickly, and they got after they were getting on that C site.
Is that how it works out? Is that point?
Yeah.
They got, and when the going gets tough, you got to get tougher. We'll change the entire phrase up to this point. Oh my goodness. Scarlet Knights, though, guaranteeing at least an even footing at halftime. They're plenty happy with the result, but you know what would make them just a little bit happy here, Unlucky Man? Getting up the 7-5 split at halftime instead. Yeah. They're hunting for it, and they're coming in fairly strong. A 4 stack through C long. They left Spike just a little bit behind them. Seemingly a rotate through Hay will be employed. Frudda, an interesting engagement against Icy, who has been amazing for the side of Converse Purple, but silenced so early in this round could be the nail in the coffin for Converse Purple, losing their, well, one of their best players, if not their best statistical players so far in this series, right off the rip.
It looks like that was such a great read as well, just making sure to put that switch up of Puffin from A, where they've really been making this place their home, over into C. A bit of a spray to at least delay the initial plant, but that's going to come through, and so they will be using that Hunter's Fury as well, as that will be fully invested. Maybe just take away the default plant, otherwise everyone still feels healthy and alive, and they have a Rolling Thunder for the side of the Scarlet Knights, which is going to get expended. No one's going to be coming in from Link for free, and they immediately take those fights. Almost is able to cut down 2. Frudda is able to, well, they'll be seeing the respawn camp, and then Prof, it's again coverage. That's been the big brother play, making sure everyone stays up. It's a 3v1. Puffin needs a full commit off of this neural theft. They've got the information, but they know they're surrounded, but maybe they're just stuck in a cage with them, looking for one more spray. There's not enough time, but they at least did some extra damage, maybe a consolation prize for later, and they won't get the final kill. It's gonna be Prof that does, secures it up. They found that 7th.
Went from struggling at the beginning of the play-by-play with almost shocking flank to bringing out a Watchmen reference at the end of it. So we've got ourselves an interesting showdown in the booth and going down in the lobby itself. Almost waiting perfectly where they were needed, down inside B. Once the going gets tough and they know that Converse Purple needed to swing into sight, you throw out the Rolling Thunder like you mentioned, and right on cue, the Scarlet Knights pop it, and Almost swings out of nowhere, in through B, out through Link, and cuts down 2, and Almost found a 3rd as well, but the refrag still went in favor for Converse Purple. The rest of the round surely did not, even though it got a little bit close there towards the end. Time was that second player on the field in the 1v1, making an effective 1v2 and an impossible one to overcome. The Scarlet Knights will go positive 7-5 at halftime, and they're heading into the defensive side, which for a lot of teams is favored on Haven, but the agent selection is what's going to scream out to me for Converse Purple. They like the Raze enough. I gotta feel like they're going to use that effectively, not in the first round of the second half, obviously, as they're dead, but effectively on their attack.
Yeah, it fell apart effectively in the first round. Unlike the beginning of this entire thing where they were able to get that 2K and then be super effective, but a nice trade. Buzz will hit the ground. And you can say that almost really did make me almost trip over my words a bit too often, but 3 survivors for Converse Purple. Want to be able to run this one back. All they have is Frudda in front of them, but a Cypher can be a bit tricky. One of the greatest rats of all time if you really think about it. But A is free. This is going to be a tough retake for anyone, let alone a Cypher that has to run away from all their gadgets.
Yeah, it's not spelling the best case scenario. To be fair, there's not very many gadgets to bring out in the first round. Frudda can I guess, do their best. That's all we can hope for. What can we do? There is nothing we can do if everyone is keeping up with the current memes of today. Frudda is hoping that Napoleon is not right in this instance, but I think it has to ring true. The French know something, apparently, and it's a first round win here for Converse Purple. They'll hopefully use that as a point to break into their second for their bonus, picking up the SMGs in this round, maybe a Marshall as well, like we saw get brought out from Scarlet Knights previously on their attacking position. Who really knows? Sorry, from CVUs, they already have done it. I apologize. They've already done it. Maybe they'll bring it out here again, but it's harder to utilize on the attack, so they'll fall back to, Bulldogs and Spectres to rely on.
How's Beast 2 Hype gonna go with that shorty? They hanging out in garage? Is that where they're gonna? Okay, all right. They're posting up right around the corner and more. Okay, I was wondering if you're hanging onto a shorty on your, your lesser buy because of a pistol loss. I want to know where you're hanging out. And sometimes I put myself as a rat position down into that super cubby. It does look like Cartier is gonna be looking for at least one poke. Can't quite get it, and as they're gonna be flash pointed, and now, well, they hit the ground early again, testing the waters, seeing if they can just take up some of that more mid space. You are on the back end of a lesser arsenal, and right around the corner. Yep, okay, all right, Beast. this is where I want to see a 2K. You better. That's good for both shots.
Somebody's been watching some stank rat. That's the wrong game. Sorry to break it to you. You gotta find a new way to rat in Valorant. This one's fairly common though, and a great distraction with the owl drone. Almost. It seems like that's the second time we've seen that, as we saw it happen in the first half as well on a push to the A site. As the attack managed to bring out the owl drone and distract away from the Jets. So Scarlet Knights get a little bit of taste of their own medicine. Prof can't dish out any pills though, nor anything shaped like a pill. The 9mm shots do not connect, and it leads to a 1 versus 5. Hey, where have we seen this before? What do you mean? It's brand new. It's even worse now for Frudda though. Not a 1v3, a full 1v5, and there is nothing going their way.
It was a audience and a standing ovation, a grand applause waiting for the Cypher to have to walk in. Frudda did not like that, and they will take that personally maybe into later. We are dead even at 7 apiece, more Bulldogs than I've seen in a kennel in a lifetime, but 3 will be existing into this bonus round for Converse Purple as Scarlet Knights. Well, they got to be able to buck up and stand up in a big way, seeing if that Prof and the gang can be able to equate themselves to some of this reception. It does look like they're leaning at least to A, the thought is there. They've been testing kind of the perimeter, really the long spread, even into the pistol rounds, as to if you will get much of the Scarlet Knights coming out of position, but they're going to be a bit more passive. You see a lot of the fault line and the chase. Icy, I want to see what this Raze can do. We're talking about double blast packs. I want to see if they're going to burst into the scene.
It's interesting to see the Scarlet Knights in the first half managed to go 5 out of 6 for these rounds that took place after the bonus that Converse Purple gained from picking up the first 2 rounds. Can they repeat the same success? It seems hard to tell, because when you're on the attack, you can at least choose the distance. You can close that gap very quickly, and your team lineup really helps with that. The Omens, Dark Cover, Cloud Burst from your Jet, 2 assisting smokes to really help close off sightlines, and the Tailwind as well to close the distance even further. You don't necessarily have that luxury here on the defense. You're kind of victim to how Converse Purple choose to play their assault, and they're playing it pretty hot and heavy. Initially to A, teasing that side, they move to C instead. And they force everyone on the side of the Scarlet Knights away from the objective and get a free plant seemingly with nearly no damage done to them, and it's going to be a very difficult retake now for the Knights to recover from.
Oh, but quickly. It's going to be Beast that actually hits the ground as well. So Knights are in that disadvantaged situation, and you actually have a couple hidden behind box. The fault line is going to continue to stall them as well. No one gets a free ticket to the dance, though there's 5v5. It becomes 4-1. Icy will pressure up, and there's way too much on that spray. COD jumping on top of Prof. I guess that works out, but it will be a nice 3rd round in a row. That's going to be an eco break, and that's going to put the Scarlet Knights in another bad situation.
They're prepping for the Microsoft deal to finish going through, so the CODs get on Game Pass. I don't know what they're planning there. The jump through, they hit the head of Prof. It dinks, but it just didn't finish the job. It's an unnecessary loss of weaponry, but when you took the 2nd and you find the 3rd, it just brings forward this huge trickle of credits to your back pocket, especially when you're putting down the plant in every single one of those rounds. There's few extra credits. They add up. You pick up a quarter on the side of the road. It's the same dang thing here for Converse Purple, except they're dropping something instead of picking it up, and right now they're dropping Scarlet Knights left and right. They have found little to no success, and they need to find something, though it seems this round may just be doomed as the last 2, as they're heading into this with nothing but sheriffs on the board, and though the skins may be pretty, the result may not turn out the same way.
The Rampart not quite on fire, but bricks are being broken little bit by bit by Converse. They'll be flying through. Use this owl drone just to see if anyone's gotten too sneaky, too agile, and too aggressive. Beast is sussed out, and they're going to use that cloudburst. And hey, a nice shot. I can't ever land those, dude. I every single time I try to chase, that is like the toughest thing. I can be able to hit with an op, with a marshal, with a sheriff. Use an owl drone, that's impossible.
I mean, to be fair, Silva mains have spent their entire high school point up to the point of going into college, not studying, not paying attention in class, using those iPads or laptops they've been given to look up lineups. They are doing nothing but playing Silva. It's a personality trait at this point, and it works. It comes in very well into collegiate. But remember, you're a student athlete first and foremost. Use those studies effectively, and it looks like Converse have been studying up on their game plan for rounds like this, knowing that sometimes when a back is against the wall, that's when they bite the hardest. They punish the players trying to play ratty, like you say, and it's made it a 5 versus 3, and they have to pivot someone up to heaven. But the sightlines denied. They've got the smokes, they've got the util, they've got the after charge. Just trying to go in. Beast 2 Hype has to make a quick escape, but takes a lick of damage in the process.
So much extra damage because of the aftershock, just getting all, basically the entirety of your HP bar in just 2 ticks, and they know where Prof is sitting. There's only one other place they could be, so a full Swiss cheesing of the wood will occur, and that's going to be 4 in a row on this attacking half for Converse Purple. It's not quite a runaway train, but it's definitely starting to screech on the rails. Scarlet Knights, this rifle round, it'll be the first that they're able to actually get, because everything else has been these weird staggered buys off of bonuses and more. This has to count the most here in Infernosis.
It's a very important round for them. This is kind of the end-all be-all. Keep in mind, once Converse hits double digits, we call it the breaking point for teams. We call it the gatekeeping point, right? It's you either move above and beyond that very quickly, or you are kept there until the other side catches up. Hoping for them, if they take it, you're pretty much guaranteed to find another one after the fact for another Thrifty. It's gonna have to pull off something for Scarlet Knights. That's how important this round will be. Lose it, and you're looking at a possible 11-7, and that's just a couple of mistakes by your roster, and the game for map 1 is done. You'll be forced to head over into map 2 instead. But the spike goes down, and Converse Purple look in a very manageable position. Owl Drone around the corner, and they're going to go ahead and use the Hunter's Fury as well. Icy could have just buried all of the odds in this round. They'll have to rely on Arctic instead. Shots connecting to the head of Frutta. Arctic, who had just found their doppelganger kill with their Hunter's Fury, has to rely on the team now elsewhere, and it goes so heavily in favor of Converse Purple. Let me catch my breath, Arctic. 3 in the round alone.
Converse, Scarlet, they're basically serving up a rave, and it's a couple of Russian DJs throwing out their Hunter's Furies to just paint that back corner red, blue, and purple combination. But it's going to be purple that continues to succeed. They find their 10th. Call it gatekeeping. Call it really just a confidence factor. They put a +1 in that margin every single time so far in this second half, and they've been not looking back at all. Scarlet Knights, they're actually deciding to go forward with a couple of these. They don't have that Blaze Storm in the back pocket, but they're still deciding to buy. It's not quite hero rifles, but they're feeling that desperation like they need a round right now. They needed it last time. They needed it 3 rounds ago. They got to be able to find one more, and they're planting very confidently here in mid-B.
The shots have to connect, though, and it's just something that Scarlet Knights are being denied very effectively. The dark covers to both links. That's why Omen is so spectacular for this map. That's why Brim for a long time was also heavily used as well. They're going to put a lot of importance, though, on the flank coming in from Hay as well as in through A lobby. 2 players were inside mid window. One goes down, though. Re-swing. The timing was nearly perfect to catch Frutta in the back. It doesn't seem to work out for them. Icy pops the showstopper. It fails to find impact. Just Arctic lines up too, but the second one will elude them in that crossfire, and Prof will stay alive and thrive to put down this defuse, and they pulled it off here, Monkey Man, as it will go only to 10-8 instead of the 11-7 we were so scared about previously.
They went into the medicine cabinet, they found the Advil, and they found the tourniquet. Stop the bleeding, stop the pain, and at least dull it out for a time being. And so it took 6 rounds. It took that entirety to be able to get 1. But 1 is enough, considering they had that 2-round lead. Didn't let it get to that 11th, because really that 11th looms a little bit too large. It makes you think a bit too hard about what is right around the corner. But they keep this to a 10-8. They're able to keep that round progression. And they also get themselves quite a few ultimates. You're going to see see just opposite of them, you got the Neural Theft and you got the From the Shadows. Again, lots of intel, but they continue to pressure up into mid. Opposite of that, you have the Rolling Thunder, and that really could be a big pressure game. They fake it out, and they are able to draw out the Rolling Thunder right then and there.
Perfect play for Converse Purple. Now they just need to find the success after the fact. It took a bit, especially seemed a bit dire with Arctic going down, but a perfect refire and refrag for 2 comes in favor for Converse Purple as they'll transition now over to the C site instead. Outer shot comes through, Prof's in a good spot, deals the damage onto Icy, but takes down Buzz first before finishing the job they started with the util alone. Puffin's forced to rotate as far back as they can, but thanks to Blitz with a 2K, makes this a manageable 1v1, and it's almost facing off against Puffin. 2 utility warriors, but there's no utility left for Puffin. 1 more second till the spy cam comes up. They'll use it here, but it's quickly shot away. At least keeps them off the spike for now. The jump peek to Jiggle, almost not sticking it, still waiting for time, but time is not on their side. Looking to go to half. Puffin will wide swing hard, and it was doomed to fall to the post-plant team of Converse Purple. Time and the position not on their side. Scarlet Knights will fall in the 11th one, looming here in large as they manage to go even further beyond the double-digit margin.
Gotta love the IGL making that decision to say, you know what? We're not sticking around for B. This was all of a test. See if we could bait out that Rolling Thunder and then be able to immediately dynamically audible over onto C. They had a plan in mind. That was a set piece play to be able to see if they could get that one ultimate out of the way. And now it's put Scarlet Knights into a do or die situation with their eco. They will have mostly sheriffs and a judge. See if they can be able to bounce Icy around at least as much as they can. But they've at least stacked over here onto A and immediately trying to test them. Will be beast. They come out of sewer. They want to run away from that shotgun because if they are at the bad end of it, well, Converse Purple are going to take them down. But it's going to be Icy that is that first blood.
Did you see that recon boat get shot mid-air out as it stepped through the smoke? That is 0.2 seconds of time in which you see the recon boat step out of the dark cover. What are the odds you connect it before it hits the wall behind you? Oh my goodness. Scarlet Knights. They tried to do something cheeky, and Converse Purple are showing them a clinical fashion to get the job done. They did lose the first blood of Icy, who tried to play very hot and heavy up through short. It fell short. They'll have to find success elsewhere, which they have managed to do so, taking down the Sova for the side of Scarlet Knights, which is arguably their best post-plant utility they had with that Hunter's Fury. Thankfully, though, a bit of information spotted with a bit of a spy cam tag makes things easy for Frudda to tag down Blitz, and that's no more smokes, no more cover. A very, I would say, naked Converse Purple here, so they'll have to burn out util to force Cartier away, but the Shrouded Step saves them. So
30 seconds left.
It's a full commit. 28 seconds. You can't really flex them any more places, and they also have that flank coming right around. Gonna toss it on back. Buzz is gonna go in for some of those kills, but he's got to face down a quick shotgun. They have no idea where to be able to see it. The cam is just off to their left, but they have enemies to their right. Line them up, knock them down. The third on the way, but no. That's gonna be front of is good for 2, and the third just after. Playing cat and mouse. Have to get that plant down. You have just seconds remaining. They know they must commit to it. Bang, bang, bang goes the trolley as well as a Sova as the fourth is picked up. Knights stick around for a bit longer.
Saving grace for Converse Purple, despite the round loss there, is that the eco is still in their back pocket. They have the credits to work with. They can, in fact, buy up in this round, something that they were struggling to maintain in that first half. It's the reason why we saw Scarlet Knights keep that lead for so long, taking 3 through 5, taking 7 and 8, put the side of Converse Purple into 2 thrifty round results, and they had to do a half buy as well in the final 4. They weren't looking good. It's been the total opposite. The attack has dictated the pace. The attack has been thriving. Look at the 5-round spree at the very beginning of this half, and tell me Converse Purple weren't prepped coming into it. And Scarlet Knights have been the ones working with their wits in for the Sheriffs. They finally get their thrifty round win, and it may have just been the most important round for them to slow down Converse Purple, but they have to meet it and match it with proper weapons in their hand.
Oh, they are tagging up with a little bit of electricity from distance. Those first 5 rounds were basically the birthday boy, full helicopter arms, and the pinata was in range. So were all the kids, knocking them over left and right. This time around, though, Scarlet Knights making sure to persist in this fight. Cyber Cage up, and Plant goes down. You also have this really long and weird lurk as well. I believe they have their Cypher way back, making sure to look for beasts as they've been kind of poking them in the back end. But everyone from distance, Prof finds Icy off that trade. One looking in from garage, but now it becomes a 4v4 just through this dark cover. Can they be able to chase him out with the Rolling Thunder? Now everyone's stunned up, popped up.
The bad spot to be in, and the engagement comes out. Somehow Puffin still loses that. A nearly inexcusable loss there, but the Hunter's Fury will make up for that inevitable denial. They send out all 3 bursts. The Spike, though, has already been tagged down to half. They'll have to swing out quickly. It's good at least for that. It's a 1v1. Spike carrier in, pistols out, and buys to infinity and beyond. 3 in a row to save Converse Purple and bring them up to match point in map 1.
You know there's desperation in your eyes and in your arms when you're using a classic from down C long to try and kill Buzz when he's already light years ahead of you. So almost no cigar there, as it will finally be map 1 point going over to Converse Purple. They still have a chance on the side of the Scarlet Knights, but I say chance, there's not much in the bank. Infernosis, we've got Spectres, we've got Walmart buys, BOGOs, and prayers. It's going to be some big plays that the Scarlet Knights have to find defensively, and they better be stacked up together to be able to play for post-plant.
Hey, you got to make a gamble here in this round, and the heavier hand you have, the more you will lose. They're coming in here with a small bid and hoping that this play in through short will find them any success, but I'm going to say it may just be short-lived instead. Blitz with a rifle, maintaining enough distance that I feel like it's going to go their way, and that will be the case. Blitz now stepping further down and almost will get the refrag needed from their side, but that's not enough. It's not the lead the Scarlet Knights were truly hoping for. They gave up a very pivotal player to their side, that Jet, and the only thing they lopped off was the Omen. If they just play for B side or rotate and long towards C, the smokes won't be needed in the first place, and the Converse Purple can just take a very gun-heavy engagement front and forward. That seemingly is the case they're still going for, as it looks like a full commit still to the A side, not even a flank watch there. I think they've wisened up. They don't like the util being dumped their way. Burn it. Don't let them use it later. Let's go somewhere else.
Still have good discipline positioning, though, just outside of B, and you actually see off of the retreat. They've read it quite well. They have the better guns.
30 seconds.
They'll take this fist fight to them. Oh, Cartier! What the world? Puffin wasn't even looking. Man, didn't even get to participate. Didn't get to play the game. But now they got 3 left on site. Still have the advantage. Looking 2 from window. They have to progress further in. Fronto will drop to the floor. Becomes all evened up before 1 is only remaining.
It's Buzz. They've already clutched a 1v3 previously. They have to do so the exact same thing here, but before any hype can be built, it's a quick shutdown of the side of the Scarlet Knights. Usually it's a checkpoint or chokehold, reach that margin themselves, but the going has gotten tough, and they needed to get a lot tougher. They were running into this round with about the same economic position as Converse Purple. It was only for the fact they managed to save 3 rifles in that last round. This could have been even worse for Ware. Converse Purple may just be saying, hey, if we lose this round, that's fine. We got to save up. We got to play for that 12-11 stat line instead to reach 13 and win it out there.
I want to see where that Bucky's going. Icy. Oh, come on. I've seen a 3K, a 4K just the other day off of a great Bucky play, and they are ready with a showstopper possibly to send this one over the edge. But just like you were talking about, they are playing at least for next. They're guaranteed 1 more before we have to hit OT here in this first game. You're going to have the tripwire. Now they're looking to at least clear sight, progress further, deeper, over into garage, Fronto on the escape, and Icy just holding this kind of position on that link in. So as they get that plant, they do have the showstopper, which is why it's just near door or just near box, actually all the way on wall. So they'll be able to cover down, but again, they're playing with lesser buy.
It's a really bad spot for Icy to be in as well. They can't hold over towards Radiant stack. They have to play closer to sights. They'll use that line of sight, swinging around the corner to take down one of the best players on the side of Scarlet Knights. Profs off the board. No, Beast 2 Hype in front of coming in for their own. Beast 2 Hype with 2, matching their namesake. It looks like they're not done just yet. A third. It is Converse Purple giving up the round as expected with their thrifty buy, but Scarlet Knights, they came out of that site. They came out of their spawn with a vengeance. They'll climb up to 11, and it is almost guaranteed to be OT, unless Converse Purple can, with the rifle buy finally in their hand, do what's needed to be done in this second half and close things out 13-11.
Considering what we saw before on both teams' eco, it's magical to be able to get to this moment where the Scarlet Knights could actually be able to send it over into OT. Not that they haven't been playing up into it. Beast 2 Hype, they're going to be on that operator. They see a single pixel out of place, and it is getting shot. That's what was happening in the previous round, and now they got to be an impact power player right here, especially off A long. No one's going to be immediately peeking. You will have a 3-man stack. It looks like they're playing off of all, or make it 4, as all the spike is leaned in. Icy really feels like they want to be a W key warrior and get ready to just burst in. They put the recon dart out there. The corner is clear, and it's front of that has to run away.
What a shot from Cartier. Knows exactly where they are. The information was given. And it's an absolute onslaught of frags in favor for the Scarlet Knights. The Converse Purple side is at their wits' end. 3 players left. No real ultimates to work with. Yes, they may have the From the Shadows, but best case scenario, it comes to a 1v3 or 1v4, worst case a 1v5, and they pivot to the A side. It's just a spike plant. It doesn't save you the round. You gotta hope your teammates can step up big here. And it may be the chance for Puffin to do so. Player inside garage, they made their presence known though, and it's a 2-player crossfire. Puffin was dead from the start, and Cartier wants that ace. It'll be stolen by Almost, but Blitz was doomed to die, and it almost seems like OT was doomed to start as well. It is going in and out. What a round in recovery from Scarlet Knights.
Oh my goodness. I was called 5 minutes before this match was happening, and guess what? We're going to overtime. I'm going to skip dinner to be able to see these guys coming.
All 3 maps.
Oh, look, all right. I'll be hungry. It's fine. It is only work tomorrow. These guys got extra classes, big studies, and I can be able to stick around for it. But in case you're brand new to Valorant, how are you doing, first off? Second off, we're going to overtime. That means you got to win by 2. That means you're going to get chances to go back and forth, flip all the way around. This was a much more dead even affair, Infernosis, when we saw this first half. So I'd say this is more of a 50-50 flip about how well Converse is going to do defensively before we stand back up and see them possibly go back onto that attack.
It's going to be very difficult overtime, considering just how close it was. There was obviously one side favored over the other on each position. Defense was just something very difficult a lot of the times in the early stages, but came back to bite them as they made the recovery, held on. Eco was the biggest problem. It's not necessarily just that half, it's just getting ahead, and Eco will never be a problem in OT. Paint shell's good for 2. Icy, how do you line that one up? It was a bad spot for the side of Converse Purple, but it seemingly has gotten nothing but better with a single toss of utility. And it's a bad spot for the Scarlet Knights now to be in, as they seemingly are flanked from Garage and from Defender Spawn. They had to wait for that dark cover to charge up. They send it back towards Defender Spawn, but they have to get down that spike safely. They'll go for a non-default plant here. I don't know if they have the safe space to feel willing to go back to see long. They don't. Arctic steals away front and Prof out of nowhere. What a flick for a kill. Prof lets down the Scarlet Knights, and Converse Purple rises to the occasion.
That was the most dry smoke peek I've ever seen someone do. Arctic basically just kind of face checked straight through the purple, and no one was looking at that corner. You did have, I believe it was Prof, into that corner, waiting it out, see who would go to that mid box, but then never really kind of kept eyes on it, and all eyes were set to the 2 that were making a ton of noise in Garage. So that one was just a lack of discipline, making sure that everyone else was covered from flank. Now the operator possibly falling and going into the hands of Beast, who again, where they're going to be is very impactful. It looks like they will be over to C, simply knowing that Converse has light, at least recently, going up straight through that dark coverage. But we're going to have more of a default fault line coming through. Seeing if they'll be tested through an immediate sewer dash. But they're playing this one very coy, making sure that they would punish any of these Scarlet Knights as they try to gain any ground.
They have the lead. They know where they sit. They've made their bed, and they're currently lying within it. They're going to try to take the lazy way as best they can, but don't misconstrue it. It doesn't mean they're not ready to fight at a moment's notice. They're just waiting for Scarlet Knights to make that first big mistake and to capitalize as quickly as they can. Still the patience game coming out from the attack. Cheek in, peek over towards garage door. No one from the side of Scarlet Knights currently lying in wait for a frag first and foremost, maybe just for an equalizing position. Maybe the smarter play coming out. Scarlet Knights know their defense has had its weak links. They want to get the fights in their favor. They want to play utility heavy first and foremost. And the way to do that for them is seemingly the Cypher on A. Spy cam placed up towards short through sewer, as well as 2 trap wires, 1 in default and 1 at the breach ramp of that A long. And Converse Purple are walking directly into it. We have to hope their speed will get tagged there first and foremost, and it will be. Free kill for Frutta. And though the damage has been done on site, and it's seemingly Converse Purple will get a free plant down, they had to pay the price with at least 1 life.
Blood for the Blood God and a body down. They're going to have at least 1 here in hell, and so that's going to be the aftershock they're going to fight through, as well as a few flashpoints. Beast is going to trade out, take a rifle in lieu of keeping their operator, and they're very damaged, so they're going to be the first one to tip onto site, looking to get a trade, but no. Buzz will give them a clean cut. Icy doing them much the same, and they're hanging out from distance here in long, and they're just getting free kills as they go forward, but it's going to be 2 into OT, make it just a single as Converse Purple, they just clean up shop, take it down.
Not another round needed, not more rounds of OT needed. So luckily for you, you don't have to stay here for too much longer for that map. Could have been a lot worse against your timeline. But what a map nonetheless to come out for them. Congratulations on the victory there. But they've got to get to a second and seemingly even possibly a third if they fail to close things out in a 2-0 series. We'll have to see for sure when that second half or that second map comes forward. But more to talk about this first one. What a showcase. That last round, they just walked in through sight. Yeah, they step out of a smoke. They lazy stepped into the smoke the round prior. They full step out of a smoke in that last round and just straight up go guns engaging. They knew they had the clinical talent and they backed it up once all of the utility for both sides was pumped and dumped and there was none remaining.
Honestly, it's just about making sure you have to execute. This game, at the end of the day, you have all the util, you have all the abilities, but it's a gun game, and so you just have to be able to click on heads, and it's good communication. They were able to just stay, wait, and play for that life, and then ultimately just take that big dub. So, a great job overall, Converse Purple. They gave up those later rounds. I thought maybe an ounce of momentum was starting to be gained by Scarlet Knights, but they took them back to shop, and they were able to just shut them at the last second. So, they take map number 1. But this is a best of 3 in particular, so that's exactly how the entire season is going to be. Infernosis, there's a lot more game left to be played.
Yeah, super excited for it. We'll see you guys when that map is ready to go anyway. Don't go anywhere. We have more action coming up between these two teams. Let's see it come to an end. Welcome back, everybody, to the NECC. We've got more action coming ahead of us to see if this series is going to close out 2-0 or if a big upset will be made on our second map here of the day to lead us into a third and keep Hail Monkey Man here for as long as humanly possible.
Hey, you know what? I'm eating my fries off to the side. In case all of you want one, maybe I can share with the crowd. Either way, I'm ready for the long haul and some extra snacks. Hopefully you grab some as well. In case you missed the first map, well, where you been? Well, also welcome. It was 14-12. Converse able to really lay it down in that second half. I want to see how effective they're going to be going into this next one as well, because I mean, this is a new makeup to an old girl. You're able to have the likes of Breeze coming in hot, which used to be a big aimer's paradise, but they've added some wrinkles going into the middle of this map. It's a little tougher to navigate. It's not as just open and free as it used to be.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate that Mick, my usual caster's not here. This is his favorite map. He actually shed a tear on broadcast when he learned that it was being taken out of the pool. Not to say I'm not having fun with you here, but I could go on for 5 minutes of just listening to him say and just rave about this map over and over and over again. It's his favorite thing in the world to do, and I think he's pretty privy. I think he likes the changes that were made to it, but sometimes it's hard to tell with his opinion. If he just talks about Breeze, you know it's got a smile on his face and it's going forward. And I gotta think the same thing. It's a darn fun map, but the changes have really changed how this is going to work and what agents are going to thrive all across the board. You used to see full Vipers 24/7, and while I still think Viper is going to be a go-to agent on this map, we've now got Harbor in on the board as well. We've got new agents across everywhere. No one's going to bring out the newest one, but you can at least hope and pray that you have a little bit of the newest ball since Breeze has been rechanged ever so slightly.
Honestly, this was the first map before pre-change and was still in the competitive rotation that everyone was like, yeah, Harbor sucks. No, I don't want to deal with that agent at all. They're like, this guy doesn't do anything that any other agent and any other controller doesn't already do. But ever since the combinations have come out, you saw a lot more of that when it came to what Viper and Harbor. They've been working well together when it comes to likes of Pearl on Lotus, and now you have some of that change up. So really kind of standing alone, and I still think that Viper can persist, but they've changed some of the likes of B. I mean, you look over to that site, it becomes Pop Goes the Weasel. Who's going to pop over that half wall and jump onto the box and come to fight and play? But it also becomes a little bit rattier, and you kind of lock yourself into a lot more of these locations. Less of that in mid. It's just a high wall. I've already seen some strange combinations. People throwing cyber cages up on top of that mid box. They put an Omen TP up there, and suddenly it goes down. Bam! Surprise! You're sniped out of place.
Yeah, there's a lot of new things. I think the changes for this map almost make it entirely new. The only site that doesn't feel super new is that A site, just a little bit bigger pyramids. They said they called the Egyptians back in to cut a couple more bricks in there to widen those up, and just a couple in there. And of course the change up for Hall, right? You don't have to worry about that necessarily anymore. But if you're playing in a thrifty round, you talk about ratty plays. Yeah, if you're defending, you want to be defending being a thrifty. But if you're talking about A sites, that is the site to push. The moment you get information that they're working with sheriffs, they're working with a shorty, they're working with a judge around that corner, I'm not pushing through arches. I'm not going in through mid and rotating around pillar to get there. I'm going to A site. I'm keeping my range. I'm keeping my distance. I'm sending an owl drone out first and foremost, making sure no one's playing right outside a cave, and then I'm taking that side as fast as I can, and I'm holding at the advantage I have with my rifles.
There is nothing more BM wise or just worthy than being killed right inside of that grate, though. It's the same thing on grate when it comes to Icebox, just around that corner. You guys know what I'm talking about. Being killed through that little sliver and someone goes peekaboo and just takes you out at the ankle, like at the waistline. But hopefully we don't see a whole lot of that. We do see the double controller combination coming through, as we're going to have Blitz and Buzz between the Harbor and the Vipers. So they've heard us talking. A lot more Cypher play again. Another situation where we were talking about Killjoys being so clutch and so strong on Haven, and onto this one, they were not exactly the big power play sentinel, but they were still pretty good on the anti-lurk. Now, because they've kind of cut off a few of those entryways, those trapwires a little bit stronger, and you get full cam range as well, especially with how big these sites are.
You talk about it a lot in Rainbow Six Siege. Information is the end-all be-all. It is the #1 thing you can have, and every attacking operator has two, drones to figure it out. The most important utility, you have 2 of them for every single person. You need something like that in Valor. You don't have the luxury of pressing 5 and throwing in a drone and checking the whole site. Sometimes you're going to have to let the individuals handle the job. And defensively, Cypher does a great job of that, holding things by themselves. On the attack, they can kind of assist into it, like we saw in that 1v1 when we saw Puffin hold out on that C site just last map. They use it as a bait for information, keeps them off of it. It's just more utility that is being forced for the other side to clear out. Cypher makes sense, especially in the higher rankings you go, how important information is, how important it is closing sightlines and distracting, and that's also why you bring out the Silva as well for even more information. And speaking of intel, even if you're an agent that doesn't necessarily get a lot of it, you can get a lot of kills with him if you're a Reyna, and that worked out quite well right off the rip for Converse Purple. The opposite to be said for the Scarlet Knights.
I love that we know pretty much IC's player profile off of the 2 duelists we've gotten to see them play. W key, kill. There is no other brain cell that's doing any other work. Go in front. Yeah, no, it's just a waste of time. So they see people in front of them, they lay them down, lay them to waste, and Cartier, same will be done to them. As Arctic continues to be, even in this early pistol, just in the place that you never expect them to be. And that's really, I won't call it ratty anymore. That's just strategic, and that really does kind of bite you in the wrong way. But first round goes over to Converse.
Why use more brain cell if using more brain cell hurts? It's just
pain.
It's unnecessary, right? If you're having to think about everything all at once, eventually you're going to get a brain freeze. You're not even enjoying the luxury of ice cream, right? You're not getting any of the boons of the byproduct that comes forward. You just want to have a very simple approach as your duelist, and while Reyna is a little less simple, right, and more like an initiator, because you typically have another duelist behind them like a Jet or a Raze. Use that Leer as a great way to cut down sight lanes. You're not as swifty as those are for kill fragging centric, but doesn't mean you can't be. And Icy was using that very well in round 1. The same luxury is not to be said here in round 2, as a Marshall is brought out on the attack for Scarlet Knights, trying to use that range to their advantage, and it works. From the main hall all the way back of B long to the backside of B, first blood, Scarlet Knights.
Buzz is playing the bait and switch situation. They've dropped a Spectre just off that corner as their teammates, and waiting for anyone that wants to go to it if they proceed deep into sight and do not clear that pathway out on side B. But nothing has been really committed, even off of that first blood with that good Marshall. You're going to see Boga taking up space. One of the players that did get traded in, they're going to be down checking these corners as they pretty much have to raw peek, but they got that tailwind to save their life if they find some of that contact. But Buzz doing very much the same thing. Is going to be at least box hopping, maybe a peek over the brick line, bit of mortar work in their way. And those look like B is going to be that commit. Now, they did have that one weapon. They will have the recon dart that will side them out, and a nice poke as they actually get a wall bang to get some damage on the Buzz.
Information is key, and Buzz has none of it. No idea that Proth is working in, slowly prowling around that corner. No noise on that walk, and it nets a good win right now for the Scarlet Knights, and they need every bit of help they can get. Proper weapons falling into their hands, collecting up the 2 kills they had gained on that site. The Marshal as well still being wielded by Boga, and what another shot to rip down another player. Hunting for more. Puffin not able to withstand the pressure. The shots sing true. Boga tries to go too hard and heavy. Thought they hit. The tailwind will spell their ultimate demise. Just Blitz and a 1v3 has already found the possibilities for an ace, but time is running out and the danger is still being ever concerning. Finding their third here in this round, hunting for more, needing to play an exit frag. Yes, the round is over, but you can make sure there's nothing to survive by the end of it, and it will be ensured with that detonation. 4K, nearly the 5th, but the Spike steals that luxury in the round, stolen as well from the Scarlet Knights.
Boga being an impact player. Where in the world were they? Nice trade out to be able to get themselves in the action. Jason Lee actually coming in as well, and so just looking to get a BOGO every single time they took a shot. So we break them over. They're going to be getting that big first buy, and maybe something will be returned to them by Icy, who's going to maybe look at the idea of taking up that Marshall play. They're going to be on that B long, and again, it's about testing these tighter corridors here in the midpoint of B, or rather of Breeze. It starts with the B. It's still there. And immediate contact. They tried for the quick reload and to maybe back their way out, but some of that fire going down long. Buzz is just going to turn it out. They've got a classic. They're trying to get this round over with.
Buzz just baiting out for Icy, I think. That's the only explanation I can possibly think of, and it's kind of worked here. Look at the range at which they can re-heal back up off the soul. Devouring once more, and they'll try to rotate in through spawn. You're going to pop the Empress as well. A very hasty decision, especially when you consider you had so much more room you had to run, and you weren't even holding the weapon out in hand because you knew the distance at which you had to sprint. Had to get a bit too fast. Cartier on sight. Was in a bit of a tough spot there with Puffin swinging that corner through the toxic screen, but those widened pyramids do not matter if you don't have the gun up in time. The same thing for the Scarlet Knights. They were ready though, even after the spike goes down. 2-1 the start, and they broke the mold of Valorant. It wasn't a 2-1 beginning, it was a 1-2 start instead.
Sometimes you just gotta switch it up. Keep them guessing, see what's going to happen. Sometimes I've seen this and it goes 1-2-1 and just juxtaposed right back to where we were in the first place, but this is our first big rifle round. Converse Purple has had to make these larger reads, and yes, Breeze may have been changed up, but it is still tougher to make the immediate reads, as this is not really about pace. When it is, if you're able to execute at a high rate of speed, then you're a dangerous opponent. But Scarlet Knights, they've been picking their poison and their positions of where they want to go. That one has a small gap outside of the hide side, but they've left that spike behind just to see what they can contend with here in mid. This 3-stack outside of A, and they have really full control of Cave, so their options are kind of limited. It looks like they might migrate over there to B outside of Nest, and Blitz will lay Beast down.
Perfect shots to connect. What's the Converse Purple side we're needing? Look how scattered the Scarlet Knights are here on this prowl for this objective. Too many players up through top mid. Still a player lagging outside of, well, was Cave. Now it's over towards Metal, but they have so many concerns to worry about, and while it is an even trade in favor for Icy over there towards A main, it's not so much in favor for Converse Purple on that B side. Had someone up in heaven, they fall down. Try to play in through those doors, they fall just the same, and it's an equal 3-on-3 with Converse Purple having to still stay stringent in their defenses, hoping that the Viper can rotate in time once the eventual call is made that they are in fact convincingly pressuring onto a site with intent for plant.
Accidentally having the smartest thing done for them ever, which was keeping the spike way back, have to go recover it, and that's actually allowed for the rotation of Converse Purple now to thin them out. They'll have just enough time, but they're pressed through as it was Icy holding a very tight line, and they're going to have just a few seconds, and we'll have to commit to it into this 1v2. That does put Puffin back on an island all by their lonesome. Mate for life, and they don't have theirs nearby. Jason Lee is going to be holding this cross alongside Boga, and that sound will pretty much give him away. Jason Lee playing with his timing, and Boga is just going to poke at him from pyramids. There's still time on the clock, but they have to be able to get past this big duel here, and Boga's really not giving them too much space.
Yeah, I think this is perfectly played from the Scarlet Knights. Puffin had their chance to swing forward. They squandered a bit of time, but since then it's been pretty perfect. Puffin, great swing to take down Jason Lee a second in after the fact. The only question will truly be, is time on their side? Did Scarlet Knights swing out too early? And I think that is in fact the case. Plenty of time for Converse Purple to go for it. Not sure why Jason Lee didn't swing back behind door, maybe feeling a little bit too comfortable behind the trap wire. They got to walk into that, buddy. It doesn't work just by having line of sight. This isn't a KJ, sentry bot to check things out and get some shots going your way. And I just don't know why we see Boga swing away from that corner. This player that's been a standout performer for the Scarlet Knights makes the slightest mistake on positioning, maybe overthinking things, and it leads to Converse Purple being able to tie things up. It's these small mistakes that are giving chances to the opposing side. It plagued both ends on Haven, and it looks like it's already starting to rear its ugly head here on Breeze.
It looks like they were trying to get Jason Lee up to kind of play speed. Boga was obviously a little bit too much sugar in the cereal, and now using that Blaze Storm, not to full effect, but they will be covered down. Icy is taking down Beast as they begin to encroach onto mid. They're going to have to use that Sky overheal to keep them stellar. Cartier was all the way into Cave, and now they're going to have some friends with them. Just the top of the hat. If Arctic were to land that pixel perfect shot, we're not going to see it at this time, but that would have been nasty. Buzz is going to just circle outside of this Viper pit that is committed to, but they've not been able to get the plant down as the Spike is still trying to, well, just travel.
Gotta make it there in the first place. The secondary swing comes through. The Viper's pit from above looks like Texas. Not sure why I was thinking that immediately off my head, but it is the Grand Ole State right now, the big one, and it is a very hard spot right now for Converse Purple to swing into. It takes days, it seems like, to drive from end to end there, and it seems like it's going to take way too long as well to do so when you have limited sight lines in it. And they're just waiting for the audio cue to be made, and Converse Purple will use it as a chance to swing forward. They take down Prof, who was hiding over towards door. The neural theft spells the end. Perfectly played in through the sight, but Cartier somehow alive and thriving is hunting for Icy. They have limited HP. They're healing up there with the overheal and hoping that it works their way, but Buzz with the Bulldog hounds the flank of Cartier and will spell the end there for the side of Scarlet Knights. The great attempt, we'll say, but Converse Purple knew where they had him, and they forced them to lay their dead inside their own Viper's pit.
That was pretty much the exact shape of Texas, by the way.
I know.
I drew that many times in 3rd grade. So shout out to all my North Texans out there. It takes a year to go on vacation. It's 12 hours to the southern tip, but otherwise, we don't really have beaches. We just have a Gulf and we have stank. And it's really just hot all year long. Not much you can do. Either way, that attack, it was built upon... No, they had the Viper Pit up on all sides, and they knew that they had to eventually commit to it, which is the same thing here to deny this arch wave coming on in. And they're going to have a spam of Marshall, get rid of it. But they were hoping that Prof would be able to creep around on that lurk, maybe find some value, and then they could squeeze into a 3v3, but it just went totally against them. And now they're trying to just ego check straight into the GAC. Straight into a tripwire, straight into just dying. Prof will get one big spam shot. Otherwise, the damage has been done, and they have doubled up on this power play. Converse Purple in a great position.
Yeah, it's unfortunate the Viper's pit goes down, but Icy has obviously gotten vision over there towards Spike. They know for a fact it was laid behind them. If they were to re-swing that, notice Spike is gone. You can make the call out that they're either close to the gates or they're rotating to an opposing site. That's why you have your Harbor locking down bottom mid and waiting for the sight line to be made available to them. They drop through there to find a little bit of extra information. Player up inside Heaven has been spotted, but it's Puffin instead to go down first and foremost. Prof from with an elbow. Now going to move over towards their Sova of Beast 2 Hype, who, like I mentioned, was up in Heaven and a very dangerous spot to try to find the space safely to get in towards that site. Arctic from Archway can cut it down, but they need to move it through Elbow instead. They need teammates to watch from Hall. But Spike goes down in favor for Arctic Sightline, and Beast 2 Hype's a little bit shallow on it. Doesn't seem to matter. Prof is forced to hop off, and the danger in front of them is Arctic to conclude, and Converse Purple will climb around higher and get the lead, something they would like to hold on to end this in a 2-0 series, but they've got a ton of rounds still ahead of them.
I'm really impressed right now with the way Converse is traversing over the entirety of the map and really kind of be able to suss out where Scarlet Knights are. And they're isolating many of these fights. They're not allowing the Scarlet Knights to get too greedy. And when they do, they just keep them kind of collectively in the middle of the map, not allowing them to have those key positions out in Nest or into Elbow. And I mean, just using the Viper Pit early really kind of forces their hand. They were on a bit of an eco. So now the Knights are going to see what they can do here. At least poking out through that mid grate in that tunnel. But much of the fight has been won or lost off of the initial picks here just outside Castle.
Big thing to keep in mind as well when it comes to the side of Converse, who pick up first blood off the back of Icy and can quickly shaded step away, having no problems whatsoever. is the fact that the Scarlet Knights, when they pressure a side initially, they're very quick to rotate back. But they like to stay there for a good 30-40 seconds before they make any moves to an opposing side. Converse used that timing, used that spacing to vie for map control, which Scarlet Knights have not done a great job of denying them of so. They're trying to do so here in this round, though. They get another kill. It frags back to an even footing, but the Jet of Boga over on that B side. That's what I said. They're vying to keep Converse purple in their own sights, in their own positions, and hoping that may just be enough. Blitz is spotted off the neural theft, but it doesn't matter. Twofer for the player, but it's only a 2v1, and it's effectively a horrible spot for Cartier to be in, as Boga needs to rotate from B all the way over to A, and quickly at that. As the recon bolt comes in over the top, Cartier just barely not being spotted by it. Gotta check between the pyramids, and it spells the demise of Arctic. Blitz is forced to refrag. Where is Boga? Where is this Jet? There they are! But just as quickly as you see them, your head goes cleanly off your shoulders.
I swear it's the toughest thing ever to see a Jet from distance on Breeze. They just kind of blend into the sunshine, and then when you spot them, they're in the one place you didn't think they would be, and it's the thinnest amount of pixels. I know that everything is the exact same, but that old hitbox, it just looks like it's not made to be done the same way. They're fleet foot, just like the wind. But now fourth, being able to break that small streak that was being built. Converse purple. They have Scarlet Knights really ready to be scrappy with them. And again, we find kind of this weird eco. A lot of light shields. You have sheriffs for 3 out of the 4. Rather, 5. It's a 5-man roster. Converse purple. Want to be? I think at times. Sometimes people disappear.
Yeah.
I'm often told that I'm not even playing the game.
Yeah, I get told that ghost all the time. Yeah, I don't think it's a compliment, but I take it as so. You know, it's a name of a gun in the game, right? It's got to be a compliment.
Yeah, it's worth 500 credits for a reason.
Yeah, I'm worth at least 500 credits. Thank you very much. Some people aren't even worth the classic that's free. All right, throw it back in their face. Come up with a better insult. Speaking of better insults, sometimes it's as easy as just getting them the job done with a Vandal. Boga's good for the one on a Puffin, but Blitz with the refrag, and Icy from, I believe, Doors is able to take down yet another. You're gonna have to flank back around if the side of Scarlet Knights. They're gonna work from bottom mid all the way from attacker spawn. And be careful here, Icy. The flank may just come through. Buzz will have to clear that away. Sheriff in hand. Great collab with the Hunter's Fury. Rings true for Arctic. And Cartier spots so many. Rotates back the other way. Gets the headshot to Icy, but I think the overheal keeps them alive and keeps them to thrive with that Empress. The spike will go defused. Will it be in time? It isn't. 0.24. Oh no, Cartier saving the round for the Scarlet Knights just enough, and it will be a tied position 4-4.
What a bodying moment. That's a middle linebacker trying to take on not just the runner, but the wide receiver and stack them up together and throw them out of bounds. My God, that electric range on that ultimate really just kind of threw them aside, as we will have a tech pause here for the moment at 4-4. And Cartier, we saw them in the first map on Haven really be a thorn in the side and not allow for a clean take, especially defensively, for Converse to be and just confident on site. And you saw so many people commit. They were chasing out what they thought were the remainder of the Knights over into cave, and then didn't fully commit into having someone just go to that defuse. So thinking, hey, I got to be able to play into an off angle and then win at least just one big kill, just to delay and force them to look at me, get this fight in the first place. And that is what gave them the few seconds, the 0.24 seconds necessary to be able to get that defuse to not work out.
It's perfectly played by Cartier. The trigger discipline as well there. I mean, note, they saw 2 players crossing over from door. They knew that IC had moved from there. They knew that Buzz was just in front of them because Buzz was tagged by the trap wire. They knew Icy was there as they had spotted them just moments prior before they stepped into cave, like you mentioned. Converse purple just give up a little bit too much space, went a little bit too quick on that draw. The craziest part about that is if Icy was the one to hop on that spike instead, I think they would have gotten it done just ever so slightly faster, because Buzz had to move about a foot or 2 more than Icy had to there. And that could have been the end-all be-all to give them that round win either way. Tech pause is going through. Prof is apparently having internet problems. We'll have to work those through and try to figure that one out. I think they're just reconnecting to try to see if that fixes it. You know, gaming, it has its issues, it has its plagues. But at least VALORANT's doing better than both Payday and Destiny right now, who one has no servers and the other one can't get servers because some people out there want to DDoS them. So
Yeah, I mean, you would think that everyone that wants to be able to play a heist game doesn't,
Have to be online?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that game, being working.
I've been playing it when occasionally it works. We had a workaround where
dope?
we'd all individually play. We'd all queue into our lobby, and whoever got into a lobby first, it would take like 15 minutes. Everyone would leave and join the lobby as fast as they could. Yeah, it's great when it works. The progression system is a little whack. You can't get any XP if you don't complete challenges. So eventually,
they had VR working in the second one. They got that one working in this third one?
No.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. All right. Still broke. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Maybe one day. All right.
Yeah, the challenge system is a little whack, though. Eventually, the only way to earn XP is to complete the same heist 500 times, 250 silent and 250 loud. All that for skill points. That probably won't even do you anything at the end of the day.
I think I'm just gonna stick with Starfield. There's a lot going on in that. Look, I'm about to install the mod that makes everything turn into a cheeseburger.
Oh, yeah.
So there's that. You can have all the NPCs turn into Minecraft people. You can be able to have master. You can be Master Chief. Yeah, of course. And then Thomas the Tank Engine is your main spaceship. So
yeah, I played the game for a little bit. I made my character's name Buzz Lightyear. I thought it would be pretty thematic. Didn't enjoy the game that much though.
Oh dang.
Yeah.
I'm that old boomer that well, I mean, if you couldn't tell by now, yes. But also, I'm quickly losing all my skills. I've dumped them all into Halo 2 when I was like 14, and now they've never come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you do your entire skill point build and there's no ability to remake, it's just done. Like,
really
all right, well, there it went.
Me and
I've
my
tried to be able to play this
build in Baldur's Gate 3. Rest in peace.
Ooh. There's a lot of investment in that game. My wife has 8 separate campaigns going, and it's all because she loves Asterion. So
who doesn't? Who does not love Asterion?
I actually, we have a friend that's visiting us, and they got a cameo thing, and a personalized birthday wish for her. It was crazy.
From Neil Druckmann. That's not Neil Druckmann.
Yeah.
It's Neil. Can't remember his name. It's Neil something. Neil Druckmann's the guy who is the director of Naughty Dog. CEO of Naughty Dog.
Okay.
What is his name? I can't remember. Yeah, he does a lot of cameo stuff. Like the big one that blew the internet up for a while was it was like "Be Quiet, Kitchen Whiskers," and so everyone like went crazy over that. Yeah, everyone goes crazy for Asterion. Great game. Got to win Game of the Year. It has to win Game of the Year. I don't think there's any other game that can compete.
Oh man, now I'm trying.
Tears of the Kingdom. Baldur's Gate 3.
Tears of the Kingdom was impactful, but it feels like it's an extension of Breath of the Wild. It was still really good. I don't know if it brought a tear to my eye the same way. Yeah. I mean, other players that are diehards will say, no, this is great. Starfield is gonna, Starfield is a good game. I know you didn't like it, but I don't think it's gonna be in the same capacity for that vote. And if anyone out there suddenly becomes just brainwashed to the concept that the DLC for Cyberpunk saved it, you can get off that horse immediately.
Yes,
no more riding in this race.
I do not want another Witcher scenario where Witcher wins Game of the Year 2 years in a row.
No.
Off of when another game was much more deserving. Yes, I get it. The Witcher 3 DLC was great. Love The Witcher 3, but a DLC should not be winning Game of the Year. It's just completely ruined. I think it was Last of Us or something like that was in that, or Last of Us 2 was in that. I can't remember. But it was a game I was very happy about, and it should have won it, and it lost the vote. But Baldur's Gate 3 better win it this year. Speaking of winning, Converse Purple are trying to win it out here on this map. After a little bit of an elongated break in our breakdown of other games that have been releasing, Valorant's back on the menu, boys. And it seems like Converse Purple were taking that one in stride until Jason Lee steps up to the plate and knocks down 2 quick pitches and is hoping for the strikeout. Gets it before being struck out themselves. The 4th just eludes them.
Got their twinsy just before they got, and the getting was good. But I also wonder, when it comes to kind of tech pause and stuff like this, we kind of think of it from a micro level whenever we're seeing it in the moment. But to be able to keep your team frosty, for captains and for coaches and for everyone in the IGLs, to be able to keep their team just ready to go, recognizing not only are you kind of that game down, we're looking at the latter portion, the last quarter of this first half, and the last 3 rounds, Converse Purple still ready to go, but it becomes just still down to execution. That one was just a lot of scrap, a lot of heat map would probably lend itself over to B, and everyone just finding those trades really just seemed kind of scrambled.
Yeah, I mean, if it's been long enough, you kind of have to get into the action fairly quickly to try to make up for the cold that just hits you when you were trying to get nice and hot. It works. but it didn't work out the way Scarlet Knights are necessarily hoping for. They do the exact same thing, though, here in this round. They run as fast as they can in a thrifty round, though, of course, up to the B site, and they go for the plants. They'll try to give up as few sight lines as they possibly can as Blitz works in from Mickey D's, the Arch's side. They are not loving it to this point as no one has been peeking them. Jason Lee, though, with a snake bite, forced to take a couple steps away, and the toxic screens will come out the side of Scarlet Knights to remove those sight lines even further. Late storm for Boga as the arm been spotted. It's perfectly timed. Arctic and Puffin, though, good for 2. The classic comes out, lull free gun, but the damage is still in favor for Converse Purple as they rip apart all 5 players, losing 3 in the process. But hope for the defuse as well to come forward, though time did get a little tight for them. They get it plenty fine with 4 seconds left.
They were all in sync. Everyone had their stopwatches ready with one another. And I mean, just stepping through that talk screen, I like the aggression by Scarlet Knights to be able to make that swing. They were on the lesser end of that buy, so they know how to play in combination with one another. The Blade Storm was popped in it, but now it will be gone as just dust echoes in memory. We go to another gun round. We do have a Viper Pit ready to go defensively if they want to expend that. They used that last time on B to be able to take away that B main hit. Much of this is going to be pressured into mid, and it looks like they want to try and enter from just underneath Nest. But at this point, Converse has been very good about these reactive reads, being able to at least kind of corral the Knights, keep them from gaining too much ground for free. Big trades, though, immediately, and that's out in mid-space.
It's a good spot to work from. For Converse Purple, they have to try to find another way to rotate back to site safely, especially when they are still concerned about the possibility of player moving in from mid doors. Thankfully, though, they don't necessarily know that to this point. 9-1 on the side as Scarlet Knights is working from there, and they'll have to rely on just the trap wire to deny all options of that approach. They'll throw up the harbor wall. They know that something's coming towards A as the toxic screen was used, but how much more is truly going to be utilized? It's just a single bit of utility. You could throw it up, bait it out as if it's a flash on the A side, as if you're on CSGO, tossing from B to A. As much utility as you possibly can to bait out that you're going there instead. As Spike starts to move in through bottom mid, in through attacker spawn, and seemingly over to that B site instead. And the owl drone comes dry. That may be the call out that's made by Converse Purple. They may not have rotated since that owl drone saw nothing.
That's my one good decoy play as a Viper, is putting that thing just straight up split A, because it not only serves as a distraction, but also as an extra step. But now you have Cartier. They told him, go make noise. We want to take you, want to be able to just at least draw more eyes in that direction. But a good disciplined defense has been holding by Converse Purple. They have 2 per stack. Now
Beautiful.
Buzz, though, it's just able to find them in that corner. They know where they're going to be in these placements. The plant will go down. Cyber Cage and Wall gives Jason Lee a chance and a place to traverse further. Puffin is not put in too bad of a situation, but they have their cam in, so they do sight them out, and they can't get a chance to be able to spray them out. And Neural Theft will be in that trade as Viper Pit will try to hold this defense post-plant.
It's a good spot, though, still for Scarlet Knights to be in. The Neural Theft's not giving enough information. It's not giving absolutely everything on the board. It's more over the spy cam dart that does it instead, allowing Blitz to work in tandem alongside Puffin to get that pickup kill. Beastie Light from back over towards Cave, though, gets spotted, does take a look at damage in the process, but able to fall back just the same. You have to worry a bit about the Viper's pit. Sprays through, can't see it enough, can't get the kill. Cartier on site, good for 1. It's their teammate, a Beast 2 Hype, secures the last frag needed, and the round will fall in favor of the Scarlet Knights, hoping to tie things up 6-6 before transitioning over to the defense instead.
Feeling some deja vu right now. Some chaos looming, but it's much the opposite. Converse Purple has a chance to go up 7-5 in opposite of what was done to them by the Scarlet Knights. They didn't have to make that comeback streak. And when you're looking at this map, it's a different situation. You have an operator in the hands of Icy, and then everyone else is just kind of shrugging.
This is my boomstick. I got no armor to go with it, though. I've got absolutely nothing. This is all I have. All they brought on the board. You are a glass cannon. You gotta pray. This is if you are spotted first, you are dead. This is not a chance to go back the other way. And to make matters worse, the information has been so easily gathered by the Scarlet Knights coming into this. They do so again. Puffin spotted with a ton of utility, forced back into the outskirts of B, and they will stay there for the remainder of this round, relegated to just free cam duty, so to say, just watching their teammates and trying to give as much information as they can.
It's going to be the same kind of retake that they were able to accomplish before, but they're going to be a man down. Puffin was basically put into the baby cage and slapped around a bit too hard. Shock Dart will get a little bit of chip damage. Look at that owl drone. Just a peek over the top, and that's going to be Icy. They get rid of Jason Lee. Going to body him true from the corner. Blitz is able to find Prof, who's just hanging outside of it. Beast Hype off a wall bang, and they won't be able to use that cove. They go in with a right click on the stick. Now the defuse comes in, and it all pays out as they just take that boomstick and get a home run swing with it. And guess what? We're 7-5.
Ooh, great scoreline to end on, especially considering the Converse Purple head into this round with not much to go with. They had to rely on that boomstick. They had to rely on Icy, and Icy did everything they could, and they performed on map 1, and they're joining in on map 2 just the same. This feels like we've seen this POV right here once before. Maybe it was during that nice 6-minute break we had, but I do like seeing that little bear inside of the little plush inside of the entire
What's
swing.
his name?
I have no clue. I know you can buy it on the VALORANT store, the Riot store. Actabear?
Actabear.
No, I think I'm gonna come up with the name George. That's better.
He seems like a Carl.
Carl?
Yeah, Carl.
I feel like Carl's
Carl
a little
Bear?
bit like Carl, like Carl Weezer, Jimmy's mom. You know, like
Okay, all right. George just seems like he's a bit too rotund. That guy's been working out.
yeah.
Look at him. He's in
George
the swing.
the jungle though, because he's on a swing, so it's like but instead of like a vine swing, it's like a tire swing. I don't know. I just connect the dots there.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Maybe I'm stretching that one thin. Also stretching thin. The attack coming out right now for Converse Purple. You lose Icy, who you were so reliant on in the previous few rounds. Thankfully, though, Buzz gets the refrag needed. But I don't know if A site's necessarily proving to be the best objective for you, as all 4 players on the side of Scarlet Knights have rotated over, and Prost sends out the Hound, and the Hound bites to take down Blitz.
That is one of the rarest deaths in the game. You can die from fall damage, which is just hilarious. But when you're killed by the dog, that's
Now we've seen
priceless.
both of those. We had a fall damage death in map 1.
I know.
And now we've got the dog death.
This is a good time. Puffin's gonna be checking down into mid as they just did a hard test into cave, and there was a lot of bodies dropped and lost. Bit of a soft spray. At least take away anyone that wants to automatically peek from doors. Jason Lee has all the intel he can give, as Cartier is probably gonna be waiting on timing, and anyone that kind of gives himself out. Cyber Cage, they're gonna hear that little pop and know that someone's right behind them, and so Buzz gets a cut quick into the skull, and another dry peek as Arctic is gonna be there to get ruined instead, and becomes a 1-on mini, but they at least have the spike.
Yeah, Buzz got a buzz cut, and it looks like Arctic was not far behind it with trying to catch the same level of fade. Thankfully, Prof has to be the final person to get the haircut towards Puffin. And they kind of missed those clippers, and they hit him straight to the chest instead. Round 1 for from Scarlet Knights defensively. Converse just... I think they met too much competition at the gate, at the main entrance into the A site, and they're rotate over to an opposing objective. They just lost player after player on the approach, on the entry. They gave too many sight lines over to Heaven. Why are they peeking it consistently? Just get to sight, try to play it for a post plan, and play to the strengths of the objective, because everyone's got pistols. Play against each other up close and personal. Play that classic right click and get that free kill.
They like being able to play a little bit to the ego. It's not in a negative light. It's just being able to have that confidence. I like the attitude play into that kind of style. But now everyone basically leaps through the utility pit. Beast takes Arctic out of play, as well as the same with Buzz. And this very swiftly becomes a 1v4. Icy has that same Marshall that they did a moment ago. And everyone trying to be able to land the sniper shots. You have to dismiss, but they didn't expect him to be right around the corner. This game is a mismatch in its genre. They forgot to add the horror tag because that one was scary.
It's like a Hitman episode gone wrong. This is a bad place to be. Scarlet Knights, though, plenty happy where they are currently lying in wait. Unfortunately, though, they have been losing weapons in these rounds, and it's going to be some credits that unfortunately slip through their fingertips. Beast 2 Hype will be working with Justice Sheriff and Jason Lee, as well as Boga and Cartier are just going to go. They got full rifles. They want to say, we can take the 3rd round. We want to break the mold of Valorant. Yeah, we lost weapons, but who cares if we manage to take this 3rd round in stride? Converse Purple didn't get spiked down. They weren't able to stay on site. They may not have the credits to go full armor and rifles, and that's the case. They don't have full armor on nearly only 2 players, but they do have first blood, and that may just change the pacing of this game. Good way to get this one started, a good way to keep it going. Momentum for Blitz taking down the doppelganger of Cartier. But Jason Lee says, yeah, I can do a little bit better than that, and takes them down.
Jason Lee has been able to gain a lot of heat so far. They came in as a sub after that first map of Haven, and so far they've been able to make fantastic decisions to keep themselves even keel. Oh, that archway ruins them, though. That's that mid pillar, and you just kind of lose that sight as Icy will be able to drop them out. And now, where does the attack creep to? Converse Purple looking over their options. They only got 2 knights to have to get beyond. And A is starting to look a little bit spicy. They do have the tuck screen, but actually that won't activate because their Viper is just out of the way. So should be able to just peek this off of a Lear, and you have the harbor wall that will go up, and that's the benefit of having this double controller setup.
Lear goes over the top. Ice wall, yeah, a wall, kind of a bit of an issue for a lot of players, but it works out to cut sidelines. It may just be what you need. Converse purple, we're in a 3 versus 2 with Spike going down. But Beast 2 Hype takes down the doppelganger of Arctic and alleviates a lot of those concerns. Buzz getting a taste of their own medicine. This Beast is only at a limited amount of HP. It does not seem to matter in between pyramids. They've been spotted. Perfect for Puffin. This is the playstyle you're going to want. Guiding light over the top. Just debate, though. Sings back in towards the backside of Cavern. It's not going to matter. The most Caverner side we have is the hole left in Puffin's head as Prof secures themselves the victory here in this round and makes the huge expenditure of credits that they had warranted at the beginning of it actually worthwhile heading into the next.
When you make those kinds of risks, it's the same thing as a coach going for it on 4th down. You're either going to be the biggest hero or you're going to be the wackiest, weirdest guy. This time around, this team comes out on the better end of it, and they're going to be able to have that investment in round number 4 now for Boga to get an operator. And opposite of that, Converse purple. Very poor. Looking at maybe the flex of a Guardian. They're not going to have really that same kind of pressure they want to bring out into mid. They're still testing the waters of where they want to go. They do have the talk screen again set. It's basically conditioning right now for that thing to always be on A, much the way we saw it for the Knights whenever they were on attack. But Icy has to get some big value out of this Guardian. This is basically a set play with how you have these 2 walls guarding your way through, and they're just going to try and crash through doors.
It's a little bit dangerous, though, and I think they realize that. They need to wait for the player on site to be removed first and foremost, and they know that Boga's there. But they've cut off the escape. That's the most important factor for success. They've gone up in through hall. They've opened up door to give themselves a tertiary sightline, but it's a quick wraparound in through of top mid to rotate over and get control of this B site. There's still so much utility in play here, but the guns come up clutch first and foremost. Guardian for Icy, Sheriff for Blitz, and though they fall quickly after the fact, it's still a player advantage on the board for Converse purple. A 4 versus 3. Spike starts to go down. Buzz will place up the wall to cut down the Mickey D side. They're not loving it now. The Scarlet Knights are looking for the correct way to get out of this engagement. They're gonna have to rely on Boga on the long wraparound flank. They've got the sight line to Arctic. They did not escape from that sight, but it's still huge. The side of Converse purple. Icy and Puffin win their ones despite the gun disadvantage, and it's just Boga. Get the heck out of Dodge. Save the operator for another round. This one's a lost cause, and they seemingly do so, moving back in through cannon.
Man, they were highly reliant. They got Boga to be able to get that big first pick and then give themselves a chance. But when everyone drops close quarters combat with Sheriffs and just being able to hit the mark when they need to the most, it was Boga that had a dependency on their squad to let them then get in further through A main, or rather through B main. So then opposite of that, when everyone falls, the mission's over. It's done. Gotta run away with it. And now they have to walk out. It looks like they might tend to the idea of some rifles into this buy. They do have some creds between them, but it's a bit busted up looking in Infernosis. And so we're at 8 apiece. And it's definitely Converse, even though they dropped those first 3 that are right back in the driver's seat.
It's a tough spot to be in. All things considered, Converse purple are looking like they want to take these rounds consistently. They know they fall short in some areas, but they also know that they can play to certain strengths, and they need to continue to do so. Scarlet Knights, what do? All you have is the operator. You found as little success as you could. You pulled off that big upset in round 3 of the second half, but you haven't found much impact afterwards. There's nothing else to match it. The momentum you had has been seemingly destroyed. And right now for Converse purple, it's just about playing the waiting game. Force the Scarlet Knights to overextend, and that may just be the case here. Buzz sees the barrel, just needs a single click. Will spray a couple shots, but the first gets the job done. And that's an operator left out in the open, a tantalizing source of temptation for the Scarlet Knights. As you can see, Prof really wants to pick up the weapon. They've already got a rifle, and you can see Converse purple have been made the call. Buzz lets the team know, hey, there's an operator vacated out over here towards A lobby. It's free for the taking. I guarantee someone's hoping to pick it up from the other side.
Exactly where you are.
That's a good call, too, to be able to at least have the slightest bit of caution. They know one might be lurking. They don't just put one person on site. So they got the second, and Prof will be dropped. And now this becomes a massive power play in favor of Converse purple. The recon dart as well,
Spike planted.
pushing Beast all the way back, and they've got this entire half of the site for free. They've got that big harbor wall, but it's also up to Beast to be able to get some of these impact picks right around the corner. Oh, the dismiss by Icy is very timely, and yet Beast is going to turn it to their advantage. They are the lone method left alive, though, and that's going to be Converse Purple getting work in order swiftly. Blitz on a 20-14 tear right now, but the rest of the squad very balanced, very lethal.
They got to keep up this tempo, though. They got to keep maintaining the pace. And I think the craziest part about it is the momentum, yes, is starting to cascade further in their favor, but it's not been from just like ruthless aggression, from just this level of pacing that's just sprinting in towards sites and rotating really effectively like they did 2 rounds prior. That last round was a test of patience. That last round was a guilty pleasure of hiding and ratting in a corner, right? You could tell they play a Tarkov or something else in the background instead of Valorant. They like to wait for the perfect chance to pounce, to take down that chat on the other end, and the operator is the biggest proprietor of that success for them. An equal pickup though for kills for either side. Puffin gets one, unfortunately is done. It looks like Icy was really tempting the gods of fate there, and unfortunately, yeah, there was a little bit of an opposition to the other side of that toxic screen, and it works the other way. It's Converse Purple have to get some kills back their way, and it falls into one, but it's another one and done, and it's been a bad spot for Converse Purple to keep players on the board.
Blitz is in a weird position because that entire wall has wrapped all the way around. They have a chance for 2, and they're going to be able to grab it from just outside that pyramid. And now the chance for a plant is secure. They have to allow them that mode to travel. Jason Lee, a snake in the grass, and possibly one in the gas. They're going to have to creep right around this flank side, and they're thinking that they're coming through that double doors, but Blitz, very smart to check this corner of entry. They're both there. Guns ready to go. Swing right behind them, but Blitz finds the third just in the nick of time. They'll lose their teammate, but not the round. 10 for Converse. They've been able to knock onto the double digits again, a step before the Scarlet Knights have in both these games.
It's a perfect way to go about it. You're at the chokehold or checkpoint scenario, double digits acquired. And Converse Purple, they reached up to 11 fairly quickly. They even got to 12 pretty quickly afterwards. The Scarlet Knights had to make a full 5-round comeback after that to get closer and closer. They had to spree rounds together. Thankfully, they haven't faced a 5-0 start like the Converse Purple pulled off in the second half of Haven, but it doesn't mean it's still impossible. 3 have already been sprung quickly together for their side. Who's to say another 2 won't fall their way, especially when it seemingly is another thrifty round coming out for the Scarlet Knights with little to work with. It may just be a doomed endeavor if Converse Purple can keep their range and these fights in their favor, and it works out. Arctic for the first, and Puffin rips through 2, make it a third. The Hound is eating good tonight, and it leaves just Jason Lee doomed to fall flawless for Converse Purple.
You'd think they learned their lesson after losing the operator that deep into enemy territory on the attack side, but they decide double down, make it cool, make it a triple if you can. And the Bladestorm found no effect, no players, because they took one straight to the old temple. And that will help them think for later, as the wind will be straight through it. Operator in the hands of Boga one more time. They're not going to be able to have enough for a shield. And really, when you look at this buy, I can feel the need for Scarlet Knights not just to be able to get it, but if they lose this round off of this many credits invested, it's going to be Converse Purple that could basically just walk into the next round and win.
Yeah, it spells disaster for Scarlet Knights. We highlighted a couple rounds on Haven where it felt like this could be the breaking point. They came out with the win both times, and they have to do the exact same thing here. When the going gets tough, Scarlet Knights are at the very least capable, and have been capable and succeeded in doing so, getting and rising above the competition. 2 kills very early in this one. Solid start as the Reyna and the Harbor are off the board. That's a couple sightlines that you really don't want to have to deal with on that defending side for your team. No longer available for Converse Purple.
Here.
But they also just can't find a kill past that. They get a couple sight lanes in towards bottom mid. They try to take some shots, but it's Boga who has to step up for blitz and elbow. This round may just be perfectly timed for Scarlet Knights. If I'm Converse Purple, I may be just holding on to the eco, though it is 45 seconds to hide away. It may be worth it just to make sure that these next few rounds you always have enough to pad your pockets.
Say that, but it's also tough to be able to escape, and when you're so focused on one at Pyramid and the other is Prof, we've seen Prof become so quiet compared to what they did in Haven. not exactly the same kind of player that they were on that breach. This guy, much more temperamental because it's used to be able to get that some of that extra intel. Arctic, on a snapshot. Boga, see you later. They may actually pick up that operator, depending on what they want to do with it. They're going to put that recon dart out there, and that will tag Cartier, but no! Cartier, they're going to step straight into the line of fire, not fade away from a would-be fight. That operator is safe for another round. Deja vu here, Infernosis. I swear we've done this before.
Yeah, I mean, what do you mean? It's brand new. We've never seen this before. It's just a reskinned edition, right? This is
The special
looking like an
edition.
off-brand coming out in the woods. This is a TikTok shop ad or something, right? Where you don't know what's going on. It's the same thing, but it's just ever so slightly different, and the difference here truly is just the map. Well, the time we had saw it in Haven as well, where they had overextended for an operator buy, they managed to take the win before, and they did in the first half as well, with soft armor or no armor in that stance, try to get the job done. Scarlet Knights, though, with that victory back on their shoulders, they can feel a little bit more confident. But Converse Purple are not going to give them any safe space to work with. No leeway, no breathing room as they start to apply some pressure. Maybe wrapping a vice grip around that entrance towards cave and getting that ult orb just the same to try to work in. They got to get these ults charged up because a single ult could change the game on its head. And that's very needed when just a single round could put you at match point, series point, and a single round after that could put you at the end of this series as it is.
A lot of util spam, the Aldrone, the Lear, and more. Just be able to have counter pressure, but Cartier continues to not be too passive about it, waiting for their opportunity just to be able to lay one into the skull. You have two from outside, Eastern Pyramid, East Hype from the staircase. But Buzz will return a bullet or two, much with Puffin. Oh, but Arctic wants to get in the action. Body after body dropping to the floor. Boga does have that operator, so they have to measure this one alongside Jason Lee into this 2v2. This attacking side. Oh, an operator may be a bit too much. You take down a rabbit with a cannon. Now becomes a 1v1. It's a couple of ciphers, one in the shape of a peanut, but he takes the hat off of his twin, and that's going to be a defuse. Jason Lee, good for 3.
It's a great way to go about it. It's perfectly timed. The jump peek around the corner of Pyramid. You pray that it's enough, but it's not. A great strike from Boga punishes the attempted peek for information. They didn't have a recon bolt. They try to go with a shock dart over towards Crate instead, and it falls flat on its face, quite literally, as your body flops lifeless to the floorboards below. Converse Purple at their wits' end about what they need to do. How is the eco? How is everything panning out? Where is this team at in terms of their mindset even? I think they needed some time to talk about it, and they will use a timeout to give themselves the luxury to do so. Use it or lose it, I always say about ultimates, and timeouts are pretty much in the same book in my mind. If you have it, make use of it. It is a luxury not always afforded to certain people.
Yeah, I'm surprised we don't get to see that more often, but it's always used in more, all right, heat check. Everyone calm down. Coach is trying to be able to come, like, get over the shoulders, just, like, be able to tell them, hey, You know how to be able to execute and get to these sites. We have been here before, literally a map ago, just like, what, 35 minutes or so. It became 12-10 at this mark on Haven, and it took 1 OT for Converse to ultimately get there, but this has not been as confident of a map. Got to see what they can do to either just put Scarlet Knights in an uncomfortable position or at least win those post-plant situations. That is like twice now. They've been not clutch. That's the opposite. Clutch or kick. They've been straight kicked back to the respawn timer a few too many times for their own liking. This spike will be leaned over to B, and they're going to see what they can get pick-wise, maybe just outside of elbow, as a lot of pressure could be bearing down in that same section from defense.
Operator still in the hand for Icy. They've picked it up here in this round. They're trying to make use of it. They know how effective it was for the Scarlet Knights. They want to try to get a little bit of that Boga prowess their own way. But the danger cannot be overstated, or understated, I should say, as they know there's players over towards heaven, and it's just a matter of finding the most effective space and the most effective way to travel that way. That left spike over towards cannon. We'll have to recollect that once they realize effectively where they want to head towards. But it is going to require a quick wraparound back to pick that one up if they do head to that A site. But they are just teasing and testing the limits of the defense of the Scarlet Knights, and no one's really giving a big edge to either side. They're very aware of their own position and just how many dangers there are. Should you make a single mistake, you can just see how much Scarlet Knights want to peek out of heaven, and the Sova is moments away from trying to do so. And if they were successful, they could have knocked off the Reyna of Icy, who is sitting up on top of Stack, but they'll fall back, and it looks like an AK push instead.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to be going straight into the cave, and look how deep you already have one in that back corner. So better be very aware. We're going to get caught by surprise. Prof is there, but no. Buzz will take the damage and take their life. Oh, and an operator allowed them time to be able to get that ADS online. And now the attack looking a little bit stronger here for Converse Purple. That big timeout playing out for them. Beast, get rid of Blitz. And another to join the kill feed. But then both cyber cages will be popped. They're just trying to be able to keep some level of defensive scan between themselves and this defense. Jason Lee and the rest, they're going to try and encroach, but they have them from distance as well.
It's the timing. It's going to be so important right now for the Scarlet Knights. Spotted player Jason Lee. Thought they had Icy, but Icy strikes first and Puffin takes down Beast 2 Hype. Match point, series point now on the line for Converse Purple. And the money, it's an issue for the Scarlet Knights. No player can afford full armor and a rifle bar Cartier. And they even have to worry about util after the fact. This is a really bad spot to be in. Thankfully, they do have a Hunter's Fury, but no other ultimates. Seemingly will have a chance to get charged here in this round. Boga will require a 3K to get the job done. 2 kills for Jason Lee, who has been a standout player with 15 kills so far, but a huge ask in such an important round where positioning will mean literally everything to hold on to this defensive position.
Some of this may be the turning point just here at doors. Pathfinder comes out. Lear's going to try for the initial blind. Icy's using actually the drop as a nice defensive wall, but Beast will be able to tag him out from Nest. That's a very huge swing of momentum, as well as in this position. Boga doesn't finish the job. 7 HP left for Blitz to have to live on, but a big spray from around the corner by Boga could also do the same thing. They go for the classic and not the reload. Puffin takes down Jason Lee, and this becomes a 4-1, and they're the only one left alive. Beast ready to take him out, and they do so. And no matter what deficit that we see Scarlet Knights come into this with, or Infernosis, it just seems like they don't bat an eye at it. They don't even converse with it. They simply execute, and they narrowed every scope of that battle straight up to mid. They never let them advance past the midpoint of the map.
It's so dangerous for attacking teams to find a safe spot to work in from, especially the Scarlet Knights, despite the glaring weaknesses they had there in that round with limited shields, limited weapons that they really felt comfortable using. They do it very well. Lock down towards top mid. Make sure Nest is another proving ground where Converse have so many dangers to try to work against and prove that you belong in this game, in this map as a whole. It worked out. Boga forced to fall back. The Lear was very dangerous. Does take a huge lick of damage to the armor, but still stays standing and ticking. As they try to send out the operator, shots going the other way. Boga back around the corner was spotted, but the recon bolt, the biggest danger for them. Cartier, nice phantom kill. The Hunter's Fury from Beast 2 Hype collapsed back in stride, and the spike may be down, but the damage is not done. Icy with 2. Buzz saving the life for a second swing. Falls to the hands of Boga, but Icy lops down the refrag. A 2v1 in full effect. The Emperor still online for Converse Purple. Cartier has to step through the wall, does so well. Isolates Icy, takes them down, and it's a 1v1. Taps down the diffuser, wants to stick it to half, but forced away by Blitz. The timing! Blitz thought they could fall back away, but it just wasn't there. As Cartier gets their 3K, sticks to the defuse, and the round goes forward. It's OT on map 2 once again.
Let me just tell you what shouldn't have happened there. That shouldn't have happened. Cartier, you madman. Coming out, being able to just get yourself over even 500 between kills and deaths, and then just deciding, you know what? This is my time to shine. Spotlight on me. I can take these odds. And the jump peak just to force them off that position. And Scarlet Knights continue to fight back, continue to find overtime. We go to bonus time Valorant again. Look, I thought it was a meme that you said every map would go to overtime, man. I've got food that's dying in the corner of my desk.
Hasn't stopped me beating the French fries earlier. You're showing them off. I love how you tried to hide the label for it as well, and the only word that stuck through was the brand. They're the fingertips. You got the food. You've eaten, you've got some snacks. I think the burger or sandwich you got laying over there may be a bit too cold by now, but that's what microwaves are for, and that's why you got to bring a little bit of heat to the kitchen. And right now, Converse Purple, they brought a lot of heat in these rounds, but it still wasn't enough to survive. Icy in these games, nice, but they got Icy in their veins as they still hold into this round defensively. It's Icy with first blood. How fitting, as they have to hold on to the assault coming forward. But the Scarlet Knights, 2 players behind wall, they line up for Beast 2 Hype, and even frag after he picks up 2 before falling. Converse Purple, yes, they have control of sight, seemingly so, but the Scarlet Knights are starting to tick those players in their favor, and they can put down the spike to make matters even worse, as only 2 players left in the post plant with a very dangerous site to try to come back from.
Blitz living in a paranoid reality. Wondering if anyone's going to come from those arches just around the corner. They're going to have to win this swing. There's no one there, and they actually have the distraction on that dart. So now off of that util, this is going to be a full sandwich. It is a crisscross applesauce, and the defense is winning on that. Woo! And it's going to be Arctic that is the difference maker. Blitz and Arctic, 2 players that were massive going into the end of Haven. And now coming up with the first win here to give themselves series points now in overtime.
Blitz 26 and 19. If you think that's impressive, 25 and 16. The KD ticks ever further. It flows down the scoreboard. Icy and Blitz have been 2 amazing players, and it's not to say no one at Scarlet Knights has been meeting the same margin, but Beast 2 Hypes at 25 and 19, and Cartier, the second player for their side's only at 19 and 19. That's 2 positive players, just barely for the side of Scarlet Knights, and Converse Purple have 3. But despite that interesting statistic, it still is an OT game. Scarlet Knights may be losing out in some of these duels and some of these frags, but they know they can win rounds by scoreboard, and they have to continue to do so here to keep up with the beast. 1-for-1 trade, player up in nest, 2 in hall, they fall short. It's a shot-to-shot connection. Beast 2 Hype finding 2 before falling. It's in the hands of 1 man. Scarlet Knights, you gotta pray Cartier can come up clutch as the Converse Purple roster. Their 2 remaining players of Arctic and Blitz. Oh, this is the worst 2 players. They clutched it up the round prior. You're preying on their downfall. The fans of the Rutgers University side have to hope that something can change and quickly. The recon bolt tags them away in hall. They'll quickly step over towards Cubby. The recon bolt on pillar. They'll line up for 1. Cartier has to isolate the individual. They'll hide within the smoke. They'll send out the snake bite. They're still on it, Blitz. They fall off. Time not on their side. The round is over. Converse may just win. This is at half. It's over. Converse Purple, Blitz and Arctic close and secure. A 14-14 quickly climbs higher, and it's a 2-0 series concluded.
That was beautiful. Wow. First off, shout out to you for that fantastic call at the end, but shout out to Converse being able to take a 2-0 series, and they did it in 1 single OT per map. But ultimately, Cartier, I'm going to give a lot of love to that player. Nearly being able to clutch up twice. Not just be able to send it the distance to go the extra mile for the squad, for the Knights, but also that last fight at the very end. Oh, it was, I honestly thought with as low as they were on the poison orb that they were going to die to a snake bite. But they were able to take that quick step off and at least give themselves one last chance for a duel after having that, after having the spike. That was a fight and a half. That was such a good series.
The play style for Converse in the last round, they knew they had the momentum. They knew they had the lead. They had to play through elbow very quickly. They get the one-on-one confrontation they were hoping for, and then it was just a play down hallway. If they can clear out Nest, which they were a little slow on doing, that round necessarily shouldn't have been as close as it was. They send out the Harbor Wall. Somehow Beast of Hype still gets 2 kills third before going down, but they still come out so positively in full effect from that. They isolated individuals very well, taking down both players in Hall 1 towards Wall 1 in Hall itself. It was just so darn good for Converse Purple that it just gave them that little bit of an edge they needed. Yeah, you can take a 2v1, you can win those. Scarlet Knights proved that multiple times, but you can't clutch up the most important one. You get 4 or 5 major clutches that we said were going to determine the route of this game, this series as a whole, but they couldn't finish where it mattered the most, and that was OT. Both times, a single round of OT was needed, and both times, Converse Purple come up with the win.
Converse, they know how to play into the late game, and they know how to just finish things out. Maybe not in regulation time, but making an old man sweat for his sandwich, as well as you guys out there in the chat, which Hey, you were gifted with a wonderful 2-0 to start off the entire season. What a hell of a matchup that we got to see. And Converse will take out the 2-0. Oh, even though it was 28-24 in rounds, dead evens for it between the 14 and 12s they had to put out. Beast came out with a 306 ACS at the end of that, and yet just couldn't grab his team kicking and screaming to be able to go across the finish line entirely. But a fantastic match regardless, and I feel like we're gonna be seeing a lot closer of those throughout the season. I want to see these two play again, man. I'm actually addicted. I want to see the third. Let's do 14-12 again.
Throw it back. It's not even, it's not even, the sandwich can wait, right? It's not even for rice or anything. The win goes to Converse. At least let us be entertained for a little while longer. I don't know if the NECC would necessarily like that, keeping us here for a little bit longer, but it's our choice. Throw it back in the booth. Don't let them leave the thing. Observer, keep them locked in. It's like a prison sentence to keep playing Valve for a little bit longer. Oh man, it is what it is, and I want to see more of it, but it's the Legends division as a whole. Every single match should be like that. We've reworked slightly our divisions as far as I'm aware for Valorant in terms of Legends and Champions as well, and everything in between, so everything should be a lot closer this semester. So it's something you gotta keep an eye on. Every single game in these upper brackets are gonna be so darn close. If they aren't, you may be expecting that team next week's gonna have an even tougher battle. The week after that's gonna be another battle. Sometimes it's just a team mismatch, and this one, anything but. It was always so close to the margin, just the tiniest little bit of errors marring these teams' records, and Converse just comes out where they needed to.
Yeah, it's both a boon and bane. If you're looking for good Valorant, but you're also looking for the ability to maybe just get a win, you're gonna be sweating now going through this Legends division. It's one that I'm looking forward to every single week, and I got the privilege to be able to jump in. I'm so happy that I got at least a moment to be able to hang out with you, Infernosis, and as soon as you get Mick back in here, please tell him all about Breeze and how cool it was.
I'm gonna go all and on about it. He's gonna be so upset he missed it. After our first game got canceled, big apologies to everybody out there that didn't see the first series on tonight. It didn't happen. Teams had to cancel. It happens. He was like, I gotta take a nap. I didn't sleep at all last night. He was out conked cold. He would have been so upset. I'm gonna tell him in the middle of one of his happiest moments, he's gonna be excited about a Destiny raid or something. I'm gonna shut him down and be like, hey, by the way, I casted Breeze when you were out. Because I don't think he's seen it yet. I don't think he's seen Breeze at all since the rework, and it's come back into the pool. So he missed his opportunity. Got to hit your shots, bud. Sorry to break it to you. But speaking of hitting your shots, Converse Purple come out. They hit most of their shots. They come away with the victory, though tight of a margin it may be. That's it and all we have here for the NECC. Make sure to check out all the socials, YouTube and Twitter. Make sure to check out me and Monkey Man's socials here as well. I'm sure you can find those somewhere. But that's all we have here for the NECC today. Make sure you stay tuned for tomorrow. We have Smash Brothers and R6 coming up. Don't go anywhere for more NECC action.